I'm Matt Handy, and you're listening to My Last Relapse. All right, Austin York. How's it going?
Good. Long time no see.
For real? Yeah, it's been like 10 years, right? Probably longer than that. 2002. Oh, it's been like 15 years?
No, it can't be 15. So I've been sober for 14 years. I don't know, probably 2012, 13.
So 12 years.
Yeah, I was living in Carlsbad, working at a pizza place.
Mm-hmm. And like, were you touring yet?
No, I don't think so.
I think that was like about to be a thing.
Yeah, I think that was right before I started working in events.
What events did you end up working in?
Over the years, it's been everything. I mean, I've been doing Coachella since 2014. This festival called Lightning in a Bottle I've been heavily involved with since 2014. And I mean, I've done Warped Tour and
Rockstar. Did you do Rockstar? You did, right?
no, a couple of my buddies were.
Okay.
Yeah, they were like kind of touring around with Rockstar. I don't do a lot of like touring stuff like that. I mean, the only actual tour I did was Warped Tour. I do a lot of like festival site management where I go live there for a month or something and build out the site.
Do you know who a Better Beverage company is? They're the ones that
Sure.
supply all of the alcohol for Coachella.
Oh yeah. Duh.
So I know them. I like have known them for a while. And my buddy like is their main bar manager.
Nephew?
No, it's like his friend. It's his best friend. They live like right next to it.
Yeah, okay.
Like at the polo field, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, not your no, the guy.
No. The guy's nephew is what you're talking about?
No, there's a guy that goes by nephew that's like he's like one of the
it's
main
like
guys.
One of his friends. They all like, I don't know, grew up together or something.
Yeah.
But I met him at do you know what Delancey Street is?
No.
Oh, dude. So I went to this treatment center for I was sentenced there for 3 years. And do you know what Synanon is? Oh man. There's a documentary called The Synanon Fix. It's like this. It was the first therapeutic community. It started in LA. It started in like Santa Monica. And they turned into like a murderous cult. And like, it was crazy. But like thousands, I mean, probably tens of thousands of people like got and stayed sober through them. Like, pretty crazy.
Through this cult.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because it's like they like take you in. Like back in the day when it first started, it was like purely heroin addicts. And they had this storefront basically that they turned into a living place, like right on the boardwalk. And then they had this couch basically where it was like one person at a time would come in and kick, and then they would just live there for like the rest of their life. And then they ended up like buying a different place like right on the beach. And then it got like so massive that it was like, when you actually look at like the people who were involved in early Synanon, it was like all like a ton of Hollywood actors, like directors and stuff. And like the people who weren't addicts, that's where the it's not normie. They called them something. Anyway, there's like a common term that like they came up with for people who aren't actually addicts, but they like hung out all the time. And it's like part of like normal parlance now, but like people don't realize like where it came from.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll remember the term later. But yeah, so I talk about your story kind of often, like about how you got sober, actually like really often. Because it's like a really good example of like an extreme example of like when people get sober young. How old were you?
18.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 18, and then I mean I was 16 the first time I got sober, and I was only relapsed for like 2 months when I was 18.
Yeah. And it was like okay, tell the actual story of like what happened that night. Because I think I always fuck it up.
Of what happened
like
what
the
night?
First time you got sober.
Well, it wasn't just like a one night thing.
Okay.
I mean, I was like in and out of a bunch of rehabs and kept getting arrested, and It was like when I was pretty young, I was getting in trouble and fighting at school and getting high, and my mom would send me to go live with my other family members in Colorado or Utah, and then went to a bunch of rehabs. And when I was 16, I was in Phoenix House in San Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was out there in Descanso,
It's
and
like shut down now, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's shut down now. Yeah, so I was out there. I was there for like 10 months or something. And while I was there, it was like I was 16 years old. I didn't really like understand addiction or what was going on with me or anything, but I just kind of had a realization of like, I was like, maybe I need to like do something different.
Yeah.
Like maybe I need to like not be partying, or like my life isn't going to come together, because like I had just kind of had the first experiences before going in there of being like, all right, this isn't really like that like fun. I started like, I was like, kept getting like kicked out, and I was like homeless and just like, sleeping outside, and just like, just like, I don't know, like, is this where my life's going to go? And I'd already been to like 8 high schools or something, and just like
All
kind of
around.
stopped going to school, and like, yeah. And I just kind of started to be like, all right, maybe I need to like do something different. And then,
Yeah.
so yeah, when I got out, I really didn't think I was going to stay sober. Didn't even have that much of an intention of staying sober. And I like went to go hang out with some buddies, and, everyone's getting high, and I'm like, kind of just had a intuitive, like gut feeling of just like, I don't know, just kind of overwhelming of just like, this is not great. And I left, and I like found a young people's AA meeting in Oceanside that night, and went there and met some other kids that were sober, and just kind of like kept going back to meetings. And then after like a few weeks of that, like someone convinced me to start reading the AA book.
Yeah.
And I started reading it, and I was like, oh, I was like, this book is like explaining things about me that I didn't even know how to put into words, right?
Yeah.
That I'm like, okay, like other people like feel this
Pull it
way.
into you.
Yeah. And that was really all that it took for me to accept that sorry, am I not coming through good?
No, you're good.
Yeah, that was all it really took for me to accept that like I must be an alcoholic,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and not to me, it's like the actions and what would happen around, like when I was drinking, was always pretty wild.
Yeah.
It was like, it wasn't tame. I like was always blacking out, always took stuff too far. Like always, I was definitely just like always like that guy that just did too much.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I got really plugged into young people's AA, and like built a whole community there, and that was kind of my life. And then, for another year and a half or so, I was like coming up on 2 years sober, and I was like having issues with my mom. She kicked me out again. And then like, I just had this moment of being like, I don't know, maybe I'm not an alcoholic. I never really tried to have my shit together before.
Yeah.
I never like tried to mellow out my drinking. I never tried to, do anything the right way. Like I was always just like, fuck it, I don't care. And I just convinced myself to have a drink with some friends. And then it was like, immediately there was like not even any effort of like trying to maintain my using. It was just like instantly just like blacked out every day. It was like, it was a short period. It was only 2 months, but it was like, I like had a job, never showed back up. I was like back in school, about to graduate, never showed back up. I was like 2 weeks away from graduating high school.
Jeez.
Literally, like I was like, after like all that and like all the years of like getting no credits, I caught myself, like I got sober, caught myself all the way back up, was 2 weeks away from graduating on time, and then just never showed back up. And yeah. And I was like, I was immediately just like homeless again. I was 18. I had just gotten my first credit card. I maxed it out.
Of course.
Yeah. And yeah, I like got jumped by a bunch of gangbangers in Oceanside, bunch of Samoan gangbangers in Oceanside. It was like, everything just like, I was like dating this girl, that relationship just imploded. And I mean, fortunately, like there wasn't like that much bad going on in my life, but I like already just like had nobody to turn to, like there was nobody in my family that was like codependently taking care of me. There was like, so I had no option. Right. So it was like, and I was miserable. Right. Like I throughout that like short stint of being relapsed, I was like, I put it like, I was like, I had started to live this better, fulfilling life. I
Yeah.
missed my sober friends. I missed my sober community. I was like, I don't even enjoy this. I'm putting myself around people I don't want to be around. Like, I don't feel safe. I didn't even like the feeling of like getting that intoxicated anymore,
Yeah.
like getting so drunk and high that I couldn't move. I was like, this is scary. I was like, I don't even like this. Like, just like waking up random places and like pissing myself. And I'm just like, I
Not
hate
it.
this,
Yeah.
and every once in a while I'd like kind of stumble my way back into a meeting, didn't have anywhere to go. So I'd like go back to one of my friends' houses that we were partying at and just kind of like keep drinking. And then, yeah, one night it was just like pretty much the same thing happened. Like, I honestly don't even really remember getting there, but I must have just, I had a friend drop me off at a meeting in Oceanside, and I like kind of came to where I was just like with two of my old sober buddies, and I was just like, I don't want to fucking do this. I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what's going to go on, but like, I don't want to do this. We like, I didn't even go to the meeting. Like, we just like, I hung out, talked to them, went to a Starbucks, and I'm just like drinking coffee, trying to sober up. Found a place to stay for the night with a couple sober guys. And I don't know, for some reason, when I woke up that next day, like it wasn't, because I had like done that a few times, like in that little relapse. But for some reason, I woke up the next day, and instead of like just waking up and forgetting about how I felt the night before, I just woke up and I was just like, had a different conviction. I was just like, instead of getting high, I was like, well, I guess I'll go to a meeting.
Yeah.
And I pretty much just jumped right back in. And throughout all of my early sobriety, like it was never, the sobriety part wasn't that hard. Like I kind of just looked at it as my only option.
Yeah.
I was like, this is, like I've shown myself that there's like no opportunity in my life otherwise. And I'm like, this is just, if I want to have anything going for myself, this is it.
Yeah. Yeah. The story of like people's, so my podcast is called My Last Relapse, and I had a very similar experience with my last relapse, right? I had like 3.5 years of clean time, but I also had like 10 years over my head, a third strike, which ultimately they told me, they were like, you're going to take these 2 strikes, you're going to eat those. Those are yours. Happy birthday. And we're going to suspend this strike, and we're going to suspend 10 years. You're going to get that off the top, but we're going to suspend this other strike. And if you fuck this up, we're going to give you your third strike, and we're going to try to strike you out. And I was like, okay, for sure. So I'm for sure going to prison for 10 years, but they're going to try to give me 25. That's just like what was on the table. And so it was very easy for me to like not fuck that up. Right. But then like as soon as like I understood that I was okay, like I get off probation in a couple months, they're not drug testing me, like all this stuff. And it was like I had that thought in my head that it was like, okay, I know that I know I'm an addict, first of all. Like, that is a very obvious thing. I know that my life I was living under a bridge 5 years ago, right? Like, so I was like, back then it was like 2 years ago, I was living under a bridge, you know, it was like, um, or 3 years ago, I was living under a bridge at this time. And it was very easy for me to not want the consequences of that lifestyle because I also like, after the last time I saw you, I went right back to jail, like immediately. And then, so did another prison term, ended up back on the streets. And then since then, it was like, I'm going to do this to its logical end. And then when I'm ready to go, if I make it back, like, and I'm ready to go, then I'll clean up, like, whenever that is. And like a couple of years before I got sober, it was like to that point where I tell people it was like an abusive marriage, right? Like, I had this extremely long honeymoon phase of my addiction where, like, right before I had met you the first time was the first time I realized I was an addict. And this is after like a prison term, losing a marriage, losing a kid, like making fun of my brother while I'm in prison for like participating in AA. Like, not being able to see like how fucking ridiculous that sounds, like that I'm making fun of this kid who got sober and I'm in prison doing drugs. Like, not seeing the forest through the trees on that. And it was like, so there was like the long, long honeymoon, and including like even all like the negative shit that happened like around my family, and like still couldn't see it for what it was. Like, all the fucked up shit that I had done to people, like what it, and it was like, you know, at the time it was like I still hadn't like accepted or come to terms with like my trauma, right? Like sexual abuse, physical abuse, neglect, like all this other shit. And it was like, didn't even realize those were a thing. Like, I understood like some of that stuff was like real, but it was so fucking pushed down. I was like, it's not a problem, right? And so went through this honeymoon phase. Then there was like this long abuse and use phase of just like falling into hate with this substance. And then like the divorce phase lasted like a few years where it was like, I'm fucking over this shit. I don't want to do this anymore, but I don't know how to stop. Like, and I'm surrounded by like the gang culture, like the homeless culture, and like a lot of found a lot of like solace in like what I was doing, in that I could always like find this answer. Or it's like I could stick this needle in my arm and like I'll get immediate relief from all of this other bullshit that's going on, but then that stopped working. And it was like, okay, now this is really fucked up. And dude, it was like I had to go to the hospital one time because I had like these abscesses, and I didn't realize that I was like in a really bad health spot. And it was like we were on our way to the hospital, and I just like kept passing out. And I was like, what is going on? So like ended up at the hospital, and they were like had to drain a bunch of abscesses, and they're like, dude, you could have died. I was like, what? Like, how is that even possible? Like, didn't still hadn't put it together like how dangerous that is. And like they were like, if you leave, something bad's gonna happen. And I was like, okay, well, the only way I'm staying is if you make sure that I don't kick in the hospital. Like, so they were like trying to give me like opiates in the hospital, and it wasn't working. So I left, and it was like just this whole cascading effect of like slowly being like, if I'm ever gonna get out of here, I probably got to go back to prison. And like having all these like crazy realizations, like in the last year of my use, was like, um, I'm never gonna make it out of here if I have to do it by myself. And then got arrested for that bank robbery, and I was like, okay, I found my way out, right? But then they were like, you're going to prison for 33 years. I was like, fuck. Like, like what it? And so, dude, and fighting that, and like, so I had like all of these very clear things that I like really wanted to avoid, right? And then it was like, I moved here, a bunch of shit like didn't go right, where it was like I wanted to well, I was doing like underground wet work in California, and like digging trenches to like do wet utilities, to like install wet utilities. They don't do that here because the water table's so high. It's like we're digging like 20-foot trenches in California. You dig 3 feet underground here, you like hit water.
Yeah.
So they like, anyway. And then I tried to like get on an oil rig. It's like a secret society. You like got to know like the fucking Grand Wizard or something to like get in there. And it was just like And it was like all the way like coming back to the family, it was always like I have to make sure that I don't just like go back and sit around. Like I have to do something. And then like that's what it turned into. I was like, fuck, I'm just like not doing shit, and like shit spiraled and I ended up using. But in that use, like I call it my last relapse because it was the most pivotal moment of my life. Like shortest relapse historically. And also like I'd never really relapsed before because I never like really stopped and never had the desire to stop. It was just I had to do it. I had to stop to like satisfy things. The courts, my family, like circumstances like I just couldn't use for a little while, but it was never like, okay, I'm just gonna quit forever. It was like I just need to do this for as long as I need to get these people off my back and then I can continue. And it was so I always say like it was my shortest relapse. I actually honestly think it was my only relapse where like it was a legitimate relapse. I like wanted to stay sober and then couldn't. Right. So um it like when that moment happened, I was like once the relapse happened, it was immediately like, oh my God, I fucking hate this. Like also the drugs are different. Like shit is so dangerous now. It's like the fentanyl shit and like and I'm like, my best friend just died like a couple years before this on fentanyl. Like he followed me into treatment and then like I had to do 3 years. And so like a year and a half into it, somewhere around there, he was like, I don't gotta do this for 3 years. I'm like, this is crazy, right? So he left and then relapsed probably immediately, but overdosed like 2 weeks later and died. Like immediately. And it was like, okay, this could be like really fucking bad, right? And just like a bunch of cascading realizations around like, first of all, I don't even enjoy the way that I feel right now. The amount of like guilt that I actually feel is like unbearable. And then like a bunch of shit hit the fan, and it was like, okay, for sure. But it all like pointed me in this direction. And so like I feel like if I didn't relapse, I would have never ended up here today. Like I would have ended up, I don't know. I don't know what I would have done, but I probably wouldn't be opening treatment centers and I wouldn't be like doing this podcast for sure. I'd be like, who knows what I'd be doing? Like some desk job somewhere, right? And probably miserable. But, but yeah, so, um, what I really want to talk about with you is community, like, and how like pivotal that was in like your story. And like, I watched like, so we knew each other for a short amount of time, but I was like very aware of what was going on with you guys because of my brother, right?
Yeah.
And just watching like how that played out for you guys and like what happened and why things were happening for you guys was like very obvious to me that without that community, it probably would have looked very different.
Yeah. It was absolutely pivotal. Like, I mean, especially just like being so young, like,
I mean, all of you guys were like really young. There was like a couple of you that are like maybe my age, right? Like a couple of you that were maybe a little bit older than me too. But all of you guys were like
yeah,
turning 18, 18, 19, 20.
yeah, yeah. And just like having that and like, cause it's like before going to AA, before getting sober, the thought would be like, what would I do with myself?
Yeah.
You know? And then so coming into the rooms and immediately finding a bunch of other kids, that still like, it's like, all right, like we're not getting high, we're not committing crime for a rush,
Mm-hmm.
what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And find ways to go out and have fun with your friends, that, and like, no way could I have done it without it,
Yeah.
I mean, even still, like as an adult, like, I still struggle with being a thrill seeker,
Yeah.
and yeah, especially as an 18-year-old kid. And
How old are you now?
32.
Okay.
And yeah, so just kind of, running around figuring out life with each other, and like having each other, as a support system too, because it's definitely not a normal thing in society for young men to like talk about their feelings with each other,
For sure.
and having that kind of growth experience like in our young adult lives was super important, and to just like it's like the saying where it's like you're like the five people you spend most time with,
Yeah.
like I really like believe in that,
Yeah, you're the average of the people you hang out with.
Yeah. And, so it's when that's just what we're doing, that's what we're doing, and even though most people didn't stay sober, like there's still like a solid crew of us, like it was, just a couple weeks ago, went to, me and Mike went out to our buddy's wedding, and there's like, five of us that all, maybe didn't get sober right at the exact same time. Cause me and Mike got sober like within like a week of each other, or
Yeah.
2 weeks of each other or something. But within a few years, and that stuck around, that are like seeing what everybody has like done with their lives from where we were all at is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so the stories around sobriety, or at least like from my point of view, is like it's pretty much all the same, right? Like we're born, we grow up a little bit, we make fucked up decisions. We all ended up like on substances, whatever that was, like the spectrum of substances. We fucked our life up even worse, and then like had like these come to Jesus moments where it was like, okay, something needs to change. And then we got sober and shit got better. Right. But like the watching, being able to like benefit from other people's suffering, like, and benefiting from your own suffering, right? Like those benefits, but then like having this core group of people around you where I remember like when I came into your guys' group, it's like I got out of prison, relapsed, and was like sent to treatment. No, was sent to hang out with you guys first, and then like got sent to treatment later. Yeah. And it was like, I think the week that I started hanging out with you guys, like somebody overdosed in a Target bathroom. Do you remember this? Like the Target on El Camino Real?
I do remember that. That was Brian. He's doing life, I think, or I don't know if he's doing life, but he's doing long time right now.
Really? Yeah. And it's like, so watching, but there's like, yeah, a core group of you guys that's like stayed sober, did the deal, like ran shit. And I was like, you guys are like kind of like pillars. You guys are like pillars in like the YPA scene in California and then across like the nation, like doing shit, like, and like setting shit up and like running shit. And I was like, damn, that's fucking crazy. And like watching, so after I left, I like cut all ties, got rid of all, I think like I would look online to like see what people were doing, and it was like, God, they're still sober. Like it was like, okay, like they're definitely doing this thing. And it was like conversations around, especially around like that time that I was with you guys, was like, always pointed me back in the direction of like, this is not sustainable. Obviously, what I was doing is not sustainable. Like it got really crazy and like really intense for a really long time. Whereas like I was intentionally like making the decision to be homeless, to like, do more drugs. Like, and so all through that time, there was no contact with like anybody that was like doing anything good. And but would check in like every now and then, like see what you guys are doing or whatever. I was like, God damn, they're like still doing the same shit. It was like it would constantly like blow my mind. It's like they've been doing this shit for a decade. Right. It was like basically by the time like I got this all out of the way, it was like a decade of like being clean. And it was like, now your entire adult life, you spent it clean, and I spent my entire adult life like under a bridge. So that was like a really watching that happen and like understanding the dichotomy of like, this is what this benefits you and this is what this gets you. Like, cause ultimately like my life benefited me like after I got clean. But like during all that, all of the experiences and like life choices that I was making, it was like the only benefit that I got from it was like the stories that I have to tell today. But there was nothing like good coming of it at the time. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about like, tell me about your travels and like your experiences. Cause you've got some like crazy fucking stories.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of life has happened since we last saw each other. Yeah, so in 2014, I started working music festivals. I like had a couple buddies that were kind of doing some entry level work in the festival world. and they I didn't have a lot going on. I was just working at a pizza place, and they were like, "Hey, you want to come try
Newport
this out?"
Pizza, right?
Pizza Port.
Pizza Port.
Yeah, Pizza Port in Carlsbad Village. And yeah, so I went out to Lightning in a Bottle one year and got offered a job as just like a van driver, picking up DJs from the airport and driving them to the venue. And I got another job at Coachella, just like as a stagehand laborer. And at the time, that was just like, really good money for me. It was like, $150 a day or something. When it was like, compared to what I was making at the pizza place, I was like, oh, sick. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then just from there, just like kind of got really plugged in and just started kind of going, you know, building a network of people there and just getting hired on more shows and traveling all over doing that. I mean, I don't know about, it's hard to say, just throw out crazy story.
You don't have to tell crazy stories, but it's like interesting to like hear the different, so that's like a whole world unto its own, like the whole touring and like festivals and like that whole thing. Because that, like, when I was a kid, did you know this? Like, I lived at a studio like when I got kicked out, and like ended up becoming friends with like a bunch of like crazy bands. And like when I was 17, I had like this offer from a friend of mine. He was like, if you can stop slamming heroin, we'll pay for you to be our roadie in Europe. And I like couldn't stop. But just watching, like, when I got to the studio, Scary Kids Scaring Kids was practicing there. And then they got their first like major label deal and then moved to Tennessee, and then like watching all of that, like all the evolution of like how people were playing. Originally it was like people would go do like bars, and then they were doing venues, and then they were like support bands on other people's tours, and then they were like doing their own tours, and like watching that whole evolution was crazy. But it isn't like so secretive like the fucking oil rigs, but it's still like you got to know like certain people to like get into that kind of thing.
Yeah, you definitely, it's definitely a lot more about your network than
Yeah.
any kind of resume.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
I've never shown a resume to get a job or filled out an application to get a job in that industry. And it's definitely an interesting path that I ended up on, being the sober guy that throws parties for a living,
Yeah.
and a lot of the circles that I run in, there's not anybody who's sober, and everyone's, it's like they're drinking, doing blow, like Adderall, like to keep going to get themselves through, and
Yeah.
that's just like how they function. And it's funny to me because like people are always like, I don't know how you do it, like they're like, I don't know how like you stay sober. That like people I work with,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't know how you guys do it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, I don't know how you do that, and then you show up and like do a good job, because for me it's like, if I am doing this, I just stop existing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny. It's like I've never really been fazed by like, as far as it comes to like my addiction stuff, of like what other people are doing.
Yeah,
I'm,
for
not-
sure.
I'm just like, I'm not fazed by being around people getting high or whatever. It's like, um, so yeah, I mean that's pretty much been my life for the last 11 years until until your little brother called me up and asked if I wanted to come run a fishing charter with him.
Yeah. That's an interesting story. Like the way that, like, when I left, there was little kids. Like, I came back and he's like literally 3 times my size.
Yeah, I know. It's funny to like see the man he is now compared, because it's like, when I met him, he was like
A little kid.
he was, yeah, a shithead little kid. Like,
Yeah.
I remember the time that when I met Moroni, he was, I don't know, had to be like 8 or 9 years old, and he was like, we were at your parents' house, and he was like,
He's 13 years younger than me to the day.
to the day.
To
Do you
the
guys have
day.
the same birthday?
Yeah.
I don't know how I didn't know that.
So if you met him around the same time that I met you, did you? Or before that?
Around the same time, before that, but around the same time.
Okay. So he was, yeah, like 7.
Yeah, and he was trying to convince me to let him light a basketball on fire and throw it into the canyon behind your parents' house.
Oh my God.
But it's funny. I think about that now when I'm like that little kid is now my business partner.
That is so funny. That would have, if you weren't there, he probably would have done it and burned that canyon down. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. Well, so that's all you're doing today? Or are you still doing shows and
I'm
festivals?
gonna keep doing event work. I've always been a freelancer
Mhm.
in the event world. But for the last few months I've taken the time to focus like just on the fishing stuff. Just to like, make sure that gets off on a good foot. And then but I'll ease my way back into doing some shows here and there. But
You guys go out like every day?
right, like usually like 2 or 3 days a week.
Okay.
When I first came out, we were going out every day just to like kind of get me into the groove.
Yeah.
But right now we're new and like we get booked pretty much every Saturday and then 1 or 2 other days a week.
Okay. You guys, like those pictures that I see, it's like like, how do you guys know where to go? Or is it just Moroni know where to go?
Um, I mean, there's a lot of spots that like all the charters know,
Okay.
and then you I mean, learn more spots over time. You get spots from other captains. You figure it out. But like a lot of the like most of the spots where like we go with clients, like all the charters down there are doing a lot of the same thing.
Okay.
And then it's like, the more times we go out, then we like kind of like find out little more niche things about the different areas and where to go. And you should come out sometime.
Yeah, we've got like we're planning on taking a bunch of people out there. There's like other owners and shit around here that like, so there's a treatment center that just opened like a couple miles from here, and it's like this really like renowned doctor who's like been working in the addiction space for a long time. And so the facility used to, like, a bunch of lawyers used to live there, and like their pool table weighs like 10,000 pounds. It's like pure granite. The whole, like, everything is granite. So they had to like crane it in, then build the walls around it. And so they just like left it there when they sold it. But this doctor, like, um, our medical director is like this, he's a neuroscientist who then entered recovery and then started doing addiction work. And so he knows like all these like crazy doctors. So we're trying to get like some doctors and like some other owners to like go out with us. But
Nice.
I don't have the patience for fishing.
I thought you were into fishing.
No, Michael, Jacob. So I was into fishing like when I met you guys, like it was more of like I would go smoke weed and fish. It wasn't like
I saw that picture of that
the
giant
shark.
mako you
Yeah,
caught a few
yeah,
years
yeah.
ago.
So that was like I was in treatment, and it doesn't matter what they were going to do. Like I was down to do it because I was in treatment.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a big fucking fish. It was like 1,300-pound mako.
That thing was beast.
Yeah, and when we cut it up, we brought it back and like cut it up, and they were like, "Yeah, it was a mess. It was a mess. It was such a mess." And it was like we had to like get it out of the boat. So it was like 15 dudes like trying to pull this giant shark out of this boat, and like flopped down and like broke a bunch of its teeth and stuff. It was funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you fight that for like 8 hours or
It
something?
was 6 hours, and then it pulled us like 20 miles from where we hooked it.
Dang. What were you on? What kind of boat were you on?
I
Like,
don't even. So
how big was it?
it was probably 25 to 30 feet long. There was like 4 people on it, and the guy whose boat it was, like, this is what he does. Like, he owns the treatment center that I was in, and he like goes and fishes every weekend. And so he goes to like these spots, and like all the stickers on his truck is like Mako fishing stuff. Like,
Yeah.
that's
You weren't
like,
in Tommy's treatment center, were you?
no,
Okay.
no, So I was out in Hamul.
Okay. Yeah. I got another buddy in San Diego that owns a treatment center and a sober living, and he's got a boat. Then he's on it anytime can.
Yeah. Is that someone not recently, but like Jericho recently got put in touch with one of your friends?
John.
Okay.
Yeah. John's starting up a treatment center right now. Do you remember John Moisant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the cool thing about Houston is there's like no treatment here. There's like 9 treatment centers in the 4th biggest city in the country. Whereas like San Diego, there's like hundreds of treatment centers.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, starting a treatment center in California would be like a nightmare, I would assume. Like having to compete and like
he knows he's been working in that industry. He was like COO for another like big treatment center in San Diego for a long time. So
yeah, they're like, especially like learning about like the marketing around this. It's like, we're not competing with anybody here basically, but it's like there's treatment centers here that have been here for like decades. And it's like, you'll never out market them at this point. They're just like, when you type in Houston treatment, they are like the first 3 people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter like how you phrase it. They're always like the first 3.
Yeah. I'm sure the red tape here is a lot easier, but San Diego or Southern California, you just have the appeal that everybody wants to go there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I have a friend. She went she got sober. I guess she like relapsed and then went to treatment in Southern California. And that's like a big thing. Everybody leaves Houston to go to treatment. They go to Austin or they go to California. Actually, like have you ever heard of Jaywalker Ranch?
Sounds familiar, but
they're in Colorado, but 75% of their census comes from Texas. And they're like a cash pay, high end, like, and they're all coming from here. And then it was like a good chunk of them are coming from Houston. But it's like a thing. Everybody leaves Houston to go to treatment.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's definitely another thing that I was really lucky for, is just the fact that I, lucky enough, grew up in Southern California where there was so many sober people.
Yeah.
And getting sober.
Yeah.
And like where there is sober young people, because there's, got to be tons of places all over the country where it's just not a thing.
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm sure they have YPOD groups here, but I haven't heard of one or like seen one. They did so YPOD just had their national convention in Austin. Austin's a lot like, at least like the sober scene is a lot like what's going on in Southern California. There's a lot of sober young people in Austin. But it's like Dallas, it's like not the same, right? So it's interesting to like see the way that this treatment center is like evolving and like what's actually going on. The way that we started is like way different. We've only been open for like 3 months, right? It's like completely gone a different direction as far as like marketing and development. And then so our medical director, he's a neurologist, had to do like all of his medical training in neurology. And his model and theory that we're developing right now is all around treatment prediction. I mean, relapse prediction instead of relapse prevention. And so like he has like this entire model that's built on like your biological component to relapse versus like the spiritual and emotional. So instead of like treating what everybody, and it's like the statistics around like the treatment industry are heartbreaking. They like fail 100% of the time almost. It's like you send people to treatment and a successful treatment center has like 5 out of 100 that stay sober for a year, for 1 year. Not even like stay sober forever. It's for 1 year.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to stay sober. It isn't like getting sober is the easy part. Like for a lot of people, it's staying sober. That's the hard part.
It's like, it's a tricky thing too. It's I can't imagine like trying to pinpoint, it's like, I mean, I've been sober for a long time. I can't pinpoint why, like I couldn't tell you why it clicked for me and it didn't click for you when, when I was young, or why like so many of my friends that I grew up with that, we're kind of all in the same mix, and something clicked for me and they're dead. You
Yeah.
know? They're like, I don't know.
Or just still not sober. Yeah. I interviewed a one ship wonder a couple days ago, and she was like, she works in the treatment industry now, and she's constantly asked like, can we bottle like what happened with you? Like, is it possible to like really pinpoint what happened with you? And it's like, no. And the reality is, it's like, for it's much easier to tell people why they can't stay clean than it is to say why they did stay clean. Like, way easier. Like, you can point to like all kinds of external factors for like why people keep relapsing, but the internal work of like how you stayed sober is so subjective and like individual, and like what actually gets it to click is so different every time. There's no telling like what is going to get somebody sober.
No, not at all. Well, it's because it's also like being what sober means and what like that relationship is tied to, and everything is just so unique to everybody. You know, it's like um you can't, I don't know, and it's like, you know, people's traumas and their, you know, what drives them and, you know, what they need out of life is just so different to everybody that you can't pinpoint it. But solid community is definitely a good place to start.
Yeah, the community aspect of sobriety. So, part of the model that we're developing says that there's a hyperactivity in the amygdala, right? Like, the fear center of your brain is hyperactive based on a bunch of trauma, right? In order to quiet the amygdala, like biologically, you have to get oxytocin. In order to do that, you have to like, and so like he's writing a book right now called Why It Works, to like kind of counter how it works. And really what he's saying is like, in order to get in this place of healing, you have to like do your fourth step. You have to do your fifth, like you have to do your fourth step correctly, and then you have to do the fifth step correctly. Like, and it's strictly just coming down to like, how honest were you? Because if you have any kind of walls built around like the relationships that you have, there is absolutely no way to rebuild your frontal cortex, your prefrontal cortex. And so you quiet the amygdala, you create a safe space, you quiet the amygdala, and then the back end of all of this is, if you are not part of a community that helps that feedback loop around like your moral compass, your honesty, your like intention around staying sober, you're not going to stay sober. Like, if you have to do this on your own, you're not staying sober. It's, I'm sure there are people out there that like went out into the mountains and like never like interacted with society again and like stayed sober, but like that's a extreme like, and if that's the like length that you have to go to, then fine. But if you can like surround yourself with a community of people, and like our whole thing is like, this is a multiple pathway approach that we offer like as part of the curriculum we're building out, right? So you don't have to go to AA. You can go to like Refuge or like Celebrate Recovery or like do Dharma or whatever it is. Like, you just got to do something, right? Because you can get in a place of safety anywhere. You can go to church and get in a place of safety, or like a lot of people, you probably heard this too, but like a lot of people would be like, I just want to go home. Like, that's my safe place. It's like, dude, that is like the scene of the crime. Like, that's the place that everything happened. It's like,
Yeah.
and so like in Texas, so Texas doesn't, it is illegal to like, insurance won't pay for sober living here. Whereas like the Florida model is based on sober living. You know, like they pay for everything out there. It's like,
Yeah.
here it's like you got to like really, you got to really be determined to like find that place and find those people in order for it to like, in order for you to fit into a place where you can get what you need to stay sober, you like have to be determined to do it. It isn't like a bunch of other places like the meccas for recovery. It's like, yeah, it's because you have a lot of stuff kind of like set up for you to stay sober. Whereas like here, from my opinion and like my point of view, it's like everybody has left Houston for so long to get sober that it's like not really what they're worried about here. Like, they're worried about what are you going to do when you come back from that journey of getting sober, and instead of like, how are you going to get sober here? And it's like, so Houston's an interesting place. Have you driven around?
Not much.
Dude, you should drive around. It's crazy. So it's like one of the oldest cities in the country. Like, And it's definitely like its own world too, where like when you drive around Houston, it's like pockets. It wasn't like San Diego where it was like an epicenter and then it grew out. It like was built in places. And so like obviously like the natural progression of a city is like you'll build like a nice place and then it gets shitty and then they move out. And so like if there's like an epicenter like San Diego, they just like expanded it out and it like got nicer and nicer as it went out. Here it's like 20 square miles of ghetto with one like pocket of extreme wealth. And that's just like all over the place. So there's like extreme poverty, like tons of ghettos with like pockets of like billionaires like living all over the place. Cause there's like the oil and gas industry, the medical industry. Like, we went to this event over there over the last weekend and it was like a black tie event. It was for the Menninger Clinic and they started doing like the auction and they were like, it was increments of like $5,000. Like for every time that somebody bid, it was like $10,000, $15,000, 20,000. We were like, I was like, I'm out of here. I'm gone. It was funny. But yeah,
Wild.
Houston's like an interesting place to drive around because on top of like we're from San Diego. Like there's no oil anything. It's like what looking at these like it's like square miles, like 10, 15 square miles of like refineries and like smokestacks and like crazy shit going on. I'm like, God damn, this is like an industrial city. So when you look at like the demographics of people that are like really represented here, there is that dichotomy of like poverty and wealth. And then the when I look at like, do you watch the news here?
No.
Dude, it's so crazy. It's like every week another female teacher is like getting caught for sleeping with a student. But then also there's like multiple murders a day. So it's like there is like a lot of people who need help, but then the access to care is like not there. Cause like when you're like knee deep in that kind of shit, you're like not worried about insurance. So it's like, what are your options for treatment? You know, like what are your like and back when you got sober and like when I originally got sober, so parity came around in 2008. You know what that is?
No.
So the Kennedys, like JFK, Bobby Kennedy, RFK, like their family is full of addicts. Like Bobby Kennedy, like killed somebody, like got a DUI, or like was drinking, killed somebody, and then like they got him out of a DUI or whatever. So like they have like a long history of like family addiction and mental illness. Patrick Kennedy is like a one of the younger ones. He's like still active like on the East Coast as a politician and stuff. But in 2008, like they realized like this is fucked up. Like people don't have access to care, at least on the mental health and like addiction side. And so they made like a series of laws around like access to care that said like if you are an insurance company, you have to offer services. You have to offer the access to care at the same level or better to mental health and addiction services. And so that was 2008. And so it's like much easier today than it's probably ever been, but it's still so complicated to like try to get into treatment if you don't have resources. If you got resources or you got money, like you can go to like the best places, right? And it's like not that hard. And I was in treatment after I left you guys. I went to treatment with a guy that was on Dr. Phil for like going to treatment 150 times. 150 times. And he was like, yeah.
Rough, man.
He was like, yeah. And his parents were just like filthy rich. And he was like, yeah, I've been in treatment. I've been on Dr. Phil and all this stuff. He went to the Scientology rehabs. Like he'd tried everything, including like their little rehab thing, right? But he was like, yeah, I've been 150 times. He's going to make 151 and it's going to fail. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, listen to you, right? So it'd be like, he would go to treatment, he'd relapse for a couple days and then go back to treatment. So instead of like doing the prison thing, like this guy just, I should look him up actually and like see what ended up happening with him. If he's still doing that now, it's probably been thousands of treatment centers.
Rough way to live.
Dude, treatment is not, did you go to treatment?
Yeah.
I mean, like as an adult? No, you
No,
got
not
sober.
as an adult. But
Yeah.
I went to a bunch of treatment centers as a kid.
Dude, tell me about the adventure, the youth adventure camps.
Oh, the wilderness camp?
Yeah.
Dude, that was one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life.
Tell me about it.
So I got arrested when I was 15 for, it was actually kind of bullshit looking back on it now, but I got arrested for battery on a peace officer, but there was an off-duty cop that pretty much attacked me at the beach. And I was a wrestler when I was a kid, and I
Like jumpsuit, the whole thing?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I wrestled a little bit. I wasn't like deep into wrestling, but I wrestled a little bit.
I mean, you have to
in
go
high
to school
yeah.
to like continue, right?
Yeah. But I was like, I was like a freshman in high school, but so this, when this dude like starts, he like runs at me. I don't know. That part doesn't really matter. But basically when I flipped him over into the sand and he split his head open on a rock,
The only rock on the beach.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, but yeah, looking back on it now, like, I don't know, as a kid, I just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
But my mom ends up making a deal with my probation officer somehow that if I go to this wilderness camp, I won't have to go to court and get charged and this whole thing.
Really? So you were already on probation?
I don't remember what happened because I had been.
So for juveniles, like
I did
services.
when I was in like 7th grade. I did I forget what it's called,
Diversionary,
yeah. And then in 8th grade, it wasn't diversion, but it was like something similar because I got arrested again.
So there's diversion, and then there's it gets deferred.
Yeah.
There's a deferred sentence.
Yeah, so maybe it was like it was something like that.
Where like you don't got to go to jail, but you have to.
I didn't have to go to jail, and I didn't have to have a record.
Yeah,
but because it was like, I think like the cop who arrested me for like was able to like kind of decide that he's like didn't want,
Yeah.
And yeah, so then that happened. So I don't think I was on probation at the time, but it was like, I don't know, whoever with the courts that she had to meet with.
Yeah, I think for juveniles, if I remember correctly, what happens is pre-court services, like you get a probation officer.
Yeah.
And then, so like they're like your case manager while you're going through your courts, whatever. Like you get arrested, you go through like this orientation thing where you get a probation officer, and then they kind of like guide you through like all the court shit.
I hadn't even been to court yet.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know. It was like one of those things where it's like I didn't know I was going to the wilderness camp, like get like woken up at 3 a.m. and fucking dragged down to the airport
with the white van, like the whole nine.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, at first it was like a whirlwind of, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You know, because like I went from like,
did they like cuff you and like all that?
I don't think I got cuffed. No, I didn't get cuffed. So, but yeah, just like went straight to there to like literally like, woke up in my bed in San Diego and like going to sleep in a sleeping bag wrapped in a tarp in the middle of the desert in Idaho. I'm just like, what the, it was like,
that's so funny.
It was definitely like, the first week I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
But, and like really like all you do there is just like survive.
Yeah.
So it's like you wake up, you use your same tarp that you use just like a plastic tarp to make your tent.
Yeah.
You use that same tarp to like make a backpack. Right. And the same rope that you use to like tie up your tent to trees and bushes and stuff, you use to like tie up this like fake backpack thing. And they give you these like flat, it's not even so you don't have a real backpacking pack. It's just these flat straps that you feed through the rope around your wrap up, and you put like all your food and water and everything, you just carry on you.
Okay. Is this the ones where you actually go out on your own and then have checkpoints?
No, well, we were with a group. There was like one point where you have to like be on your own for like 2 days.
And like make fire.
But you're like, well, we had to make fire to cook our food every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, like making fire with bow drilling.
Yeah.
Making fire with sticks to like
so
that. Like,
crazy.
so yeah, it's like literally like if you don't get a fire, then it like we're not cooking our food, and it was the same meal every day. It was same meals every day. It was oatmeal for breakfast, and most of the days we weren't even actually cooking the oatmeal because it would just like take
Forever to get a
forever.
fire.
So we would just do cold water and oats in cold water and just drink that for our breakfast, and then a pita bread with peanut butter for lunch, and rice and lentils for dinner, like unflavored, which was also weird to get. Like it was like I was so used to eating unflavored food that I
Coming back.
couldn't eat it at first, but they make sure that you have to eat a certain portion of food. Like you have to eat like 6,000 calories a day or something because you're like working so hard, like the hiking and everything. So that I was like, the first couple of days I had to like bury my food because I was like, I can't eat this shit.
No way.
Yeah. But after a little while, like when you kind of started getting the groove of it, like I didn't know I was even like into outdoorsy stuff before that. And after a while, I was like, this is awesome. Just like out here, like, in nature and wilderness, just like hiking, like feeling good, you're getting great exercise and like,
It's probably beautiful.
Dude, it's beautiful. You're away from the world. You become like very just like in tune with nature because there's no like, we're so accustomed, like we're constantly around like so much stimulation that we don't even realize, just like cars going by, traffic lights, noises everywhere where it's just not like there's just nothing. It's like you and, 4 other kids and 2 counselors and that's it. Yeah, so I was actually I loved it there.
Yeah.
I like didn't want, like a lot of the other kids were like sad and want to go home. I was like, I don't want to go home. Like this is way better than what I have going on at home. Like I'm miserable back there. Yeah, so you just, get up, pack up your camp, you eat, you hike, and then, there was like groups here and there. I don't really remember like what the groups or counseling stuff was.
Yeah, because you weren't focused on that anyway.
No.
You're like, when are we going to the waterfall?
Yeah, dude, funny enough, that I don't know, did I tell you that story?
No.
There was actually a funny thing, but there was this whole thing with a waterfall. There was like this whole like area of the desert where there was this like
oasis
waterfall that we were like trying to get to, but it was like a super far, like, it was like 60 or 70 miles from where we were. So it like took us like a while to like hike out there.
Yeah. Were you guys like doing like a minimum amount of miles a day or something?
No, not really. And it was kind of cool because like we like the kids like got to like kind of pick out where we were going. It was just that. Yeah. So it was like, so it was at the end of every week, we had to end up at these certain points that like there was like fire roads where they could drop us off more food.
Okay.
But other than that, it was like you kind of just like hike around and like they give you these topographical maps and a compass. And based off the maps, like we would figure out like, all right, like this area looks like flat. It's close to water or it's close to water because we had like a pump where we go pump our water out of the stream.
With like a filter and stuff?
Yeah. And so it's like, all right, this looks like a good place to go, and like we'll kind of, go there. And it's like when we're like, all right, we want to get to the waterfall, we're like, all right, we'll do 5 miles this day, this many miles this day, this many miles this day, so we can get back to here, Yeah, so that was actually really awesome. And then, but yeah, like getting out of there, I mean, I had no intention of doing anything any different. I was like, this is cool. I did good there, I was like, I don't know. I mean, you can't get high.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I had a good attitude about it because I was like, this is
having a blast.
Yeah.
I have a friend, he did it as well. And it was like the same thing. He fucking loved it. And it was like, the one that he went to was like, he actually like got in like some real trouble. And like the one that he went to was like much more structured. And then it turned out like the story that he told me was that like, the actual people who ran that camp ended up like getting sued and arrested because they were doing like a bunch of crazy shit to these kids.
Was it one of the Utah ones?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, Utah has some crazy stuff. I went to a different treatment center in Utah. One of the like Utah like lockdown facility things.
Oh, yeah.
But like, yeah, Utah has had some crazy stuff. I think they're kind of getting it sorted out now, but has some crazy stuff going on with their treatment centers. They're like not like regulated or like monitored by people. And like,
oh yeah. So I have a friend. Okay, how do I say this without like breaking information? So like I have a friend who worked at a treatment center in St. George and it was like it wasn't an LDS treatment center, but it was like only LDS people that went there and worked there. And so there was like a bunch of like religious material like baked into the curriculum. And some of the stuff that he tells me is like, that is not like anywhere else, like in California or Texas, it'd be like totally illegal. Like you
Yeah.
cannot be doing this kind of stuff with people.
Dude, the one that I went to in Utah was like, it was pretty messed up. Like, dude, I saw like staff members like beating the crap out of kids,
Oh,
and
I saw a
like,
documentary on this.
dude, it was pretty gnarly. Like, and like it was like all these like big like giant there's a lot of Samoans in Utah.
Yeah, there is.
And it was like big giant Samoan dudes, and like, you know, it's a bunch of like messed up kids that
Yeah.
like have bad attitudes or
Bad
whatever,
kids.
and they'll like try to fight people or whatever, and like, dude, they would like beat the crap out of them.
It's so
Dude, I
funny.
literally like watched this like 6'5" black dude choke slam this like scrawny little 15-year-old kid. Like choke slam him, he's holding him down by his neck, punching him in the face. Yeah, or like this other kid like was like talking back to the teacher in class. So then like the guards came in, and like the kid was like giving him attitude and like wouldn't get up and leave class. So they literally, it was like one of those, you know, those desks in school like that you were like,
Desk chairs.
yeah, it's like you're kind of like attached to the desk partially, like you have to get out only on one side. So he's like in this thing. They flip over the whole desk, and like one of the guys like grabs the back of his head, and he's like dragging this kid's face across the carpet. Sorry, I think I got
Jeez.
stepped away from the mic. Dragging this like to where he had like carpet burn, like ripped up carpet burn across his face. Yeah, the place was weird. So like that kind of stuff was going on, and then there was like really all they were doing was like drugging these kids up. Like I got in there, and like, I mean, like I had issues, but they were like trying to put me on like these like 6 different medications, like antipsychotics and like all this stuff, and what is it, Seroquel, like sleeping medications, all this stuff. Like I didn't have problems sleeping, you know, like I didn't have like, you know, I didn't have psychosis
They're
issues.
like, no, your problem is
like,
you stay awake.
Yeah, I didn't like, but I'm like, I would watch a kid, like you would see a kid come in and be just like a normal kid, and 2 weeks later they're a zombie.
Yeah, like doing the Thorazine shuffle.
Like they
and all
can
that.
like start talking like that. Like they're like they just drug these kids and turn them into zombies, because I think they're getting some kind of insurance money from the drugs, plus the, you know, plus the court and insurance money that they're getting for keeping the kids there. Like it was just a racket, you know, and it was like some messed up stuff. Like I got put in solitary confinement for like 2 weeks as a 16-year-old kid, like because I broke out.
Solitary confinement in treatment.
Yeah.
Is an interesting.
Yeah, right. So it was literally, it was just like a white concrete room with a mattress on the floor. Like for just entirely alone. Like I was allowed to read books.
Were they like feeding you through the door and shit like that?
Yeah, they would just bring you your food, and then you would go, there wasn't a bathroom in there. So like when you had to go to they wouldn't even talk to you. Like you weren't allowed to communicate with people during that time. Or that was like another punishment too for like kids. Like even if they weren't in solitary confinement, there was a punishment where they weren't allowed to interact with anyone for like, you have 28 hours or something, that like you have to like sit and look at the wall and not interact with anybody. Jeez. And then like you go to bed and like wake up and continue your hours, and every time you mess it up it starts over. But yeah, and then like the solitary confinement thing. So they would like escort you to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to look or talk to anyone, or your time was started over.
Would you like have like a card or something? How do you tell them that you have to go to the bathroom?
There was guards nearby. So it was like this unit, it was like broken up. This facility was like broken up into like 6 different units. And in this unit was like, it was like one big room pretty much, and then there was like a room in the back that had 2 cells, and then there was like 2 rooms that had everybody's bunks in them, and there was the investment unit where you go when you're in trouble, which I was in there the whole time I was there.
How long were you there?
Not that long. I was only there for like 3 months because my insurance stopped paying after they found out I broke out, luckily. Because there was like other kids that were there for like a year. There was this kid that was there. He was 15. He had been there since he was 12, and he was going to be there till he was 18.
Wow. Why? Like court order or like
some people were court ordered. He wasn't. Like I feel like he was like, it's pretty sad. Like, I think he was just kind of like he was just a twisted up kid and his parents just didn't want to deal with it or something. Yeah.
That
And
is
like,
crazy.
it's like, it was kind of this place where it's like, yeah, a lot of people were just kind of like abandoned to like,
It's like just a black
it's
hole
like,
that they
here's
get
this,
sucked into.
yeah. Yeah, but so yeah, luckily I ended up getting, I guess I didn't get kicked out of there, but they don't kick people out. Like
Of
gnarly stuff.
course.
Dude, they wouldn't send kids to jail. Like kids would commit, like, do gnarly stuff, like stab people, like gnarly stuff. And like, they're not going, like, they don't send them away because they're just making money on them.
Yeah. God, that's so crazy.
Yeah. Cause there was like kids that would be in there. They'd be like, I would way rather be in jail. Like, fuck this, cause they're like stuck there forever.
So I saw a documentary on this. And it was like that place that they went to had gotten shut down, but when it got shut down, they just abandoned it. So like all the documents were still there, and like the classrooms were like still set up, like the beds there were still pictures like on the walls, and like these kids like went back into the facility and they were like going through all these file cabinets and like found like letters that they had written and like that were like supposed to be sent to their family, and it was like still there.
I think it was on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
Was it something like that?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. And they like, one of the crazy parts was like the guy who was like their spiritual, he was like a chaplain there, and he like has his own church now, like outside of the program. And they like went to his church and tried to talk to him and like tricked him into like talking about certain things. They had like a recorder in their pocket. You remember that?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. And just like people realizing like that fucked up shit was going on, but they like couldn't do anything about it, so they just continued.
Yeah.
Like the systems like, well, I can't fix it. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm paying my bills.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, compared to like the treatment center I went to in San Diego when I went to Phoenix House, like that experience was night and day.
Yeah.
Like Phoenix House was a great program.
Yeah.
It was like, we were outside every day. Like literally, I didn't go outside other than the time I broke out. Like the whole time I was there.
Was it like a full blown like escape plan?
Kind of like, so they, when you get there, they like search all your clothes of everything you have on you.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been there for a couple of days, and I asked them, I was like, hey, like, are my clothes done like being searched? And they went into this room and they're like, oh, are you York? Like, give me the bag. And the bag was just in there, but they hadn't actually searched it. And I had like my wallet in there with like a little bit of money. I had a Utah State bus pass and a bunch of Adderall. And
how old are you? 15?
I was 15. I was a couple of days from turning 16.
Okay.
Actually, my first day in solitary confinement was my 16th birthday. Yeah. So, and then when me and this other new kid, they were taking us to, like, we were in the orientation unit, and they were taking us to the unit that we were gonna like be in long term.
Dude, it sounds like jail.
Yeah. So they were taking us to the unit that we were gonna be in long term, and like both of us were like, we had just gotten there and we're like fucking freaking out. And then like one of the kids told us that like during staff change that the lock on that unit didn't work. So we were like, let's just get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So it's like we get out of there. And once you get out of there, it's like, cause like from the outside of the buildings, they would make it look like a nice place, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's not like these parents were like, fuck this, I'm sending my kid to this. Like they were literally tricking them.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, cause like I think my aunt and uncle had like, who I was living with before I went there, like they had like gone and like met with them and seen them, and like they showed them like this whole big like grass field, and like looks like a nice school. It looks like a nice boarding school almost.
Yeah.
But then like the inside is
a jail.
It's a jail. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once we get out of the locked unit, it's just like a normal, nice, like double fast floor building. Provo Canyon.
Was this? I think I saw a documentary about this company.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, then like we got outside, and then we're just like, we don't know where to go, and we like just hopped over a wall, and then we're just like in a neighborhood in Provo, Utah.
I was born in Provo.
I was too, actually, weirdly.
Really?
Having it's like yeah, it was like super random that I ended up there because like my mom got pregnant when she was 17. She her and her friend like not ran away, but just like took off. She didn't want to tell her parents. My mom didn't want to tell her parents she was pregnant, and her friend just like moved to Salt Lake, and my mom put me up for adoption. Since she like wasn't going to tell her parents. But then like farther down the pregnancy, it was like harder or something, and she moved in with her aunt and uncle that lived in Provo, and then I was born there, and then she decided not to do the adoption thing.
Yeah, that's so. Do you know where you were born in Provo?
Provo Hospital. I don't know.
Okay.
I could probably look at my birth certificate, but
Yeah.
that's a trip. We were both born
Yeah.
in Provo.
Yeah, my parents were at BYU, and the place that I was born at is now a Taco Bell.
Huh.
They like tore. It used to be the birthing center at BYU. So like Mormons famously like have a shitload of kids fast,
Yeah.
right? And so like at BYU they had like a birthing center for their students,
That's pretty funny.
and I was born there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then weirdly too, I ended up living in Provo. I was living in Provo for the last 6 years, like also totally separate from any of that, or like my mom's, that part of her family or whatever. I had a different uncle that ended up, he was like living there for work, and I wanted to move to Utah to go snowboard in the winters, and he had like a apartment there that when I was figuring out moving to Utah, he's like, come live here. So I just lived there for the last 6 years.
That's amazing. We should go snowboard. Oh, I can't this winter. I spent like months last winter in Colorado.
Really?
Yeah, months, and like
you can't go at all this winter.
I got a baby being born in like 6 weeks, and my wife was like, "You can go before." It's like, I mean, I guess
I saw it was just dumping at Mammoth. There's no way they're open yet, but
yeah. And like I got an Icon pass, and it was like every place that's on the pass is closed for like another until the baby's born, basically. Yeah. So I'll probably get like a couple days in, like in the spring or like late winter. But yeah, I was looking at buying a treatment center in Colorado, and I have like a bunch of friends that live there. My executive director lives in Denver, basically. Actually, Boulder. But yeah, we should go probably next winter.
Yeah, I'm down
for sure.
I love snowboarding.
Me too, dude. Between like so Southern California, it's like skating and surfing, and like I got really good at surfing at one point. I was never good at skating, but like of all the boarding sports that I've done, snowboarding is by far my favorite. Like by far.
Yeah, same. And like, yeah, I definitely missed the mountains being here in Texas. But
yeah. You know what the highest elevation in Houston is?
100 feet.
79 feet. 79 feet.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, because I'm on all trails, and I was like looking for trail. Like, there's no hiking here. There's like nothing like. People say they're going hiking here, like mountain biking, and it's like, where are you going? Like, where is this place that you guys all go? So I got on all trails, and it was like half of it's like road that goes to like a dirt path that
it's
like
just
goes
like a
to
path
beach.
around a swamp somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's like alligators here too. Yeah. Have you seen any?
I saw one a few years ago when I was out here visiting. Me and Mike saw a baby one. It was down on Tiki Island by your parents' house.
Oh, for sure. That makes sense.
There was like a baby one running across the street. But yeah, I think there's a lot of them in like Dickinson and stuff.
Yeah. So there's like an alligator park like close to us.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. I've gone like a few times. It's interesting. It is like depressing. First of all, people spend all day like feeding these things. So I've never seen a fat alligator before. These things are like severely overweight, not moving. They just like sit there and like open their mouth and you like throw shit in their mouth.
That's funny. Dude, I tried to do that one time. So I was working this festival in Florida, and it was like on this like crazy like swamp like nature reserve in Florida. Like, and there's like, dude, there's gators everywhere. There was like, they had a like lion tiger preserve thing there too. Like, so there's like lions, tigers, gators, like snapping turtles, like all this shit. I mean, it's cool when you're coming from living in San Diego. You're like, what is this? There's gators. Like, they're literally like walking into our shop or like next to it, you know?
That's crazy.
And they wouldn't actually like come up to us. But me and my buddy are like, we're like, oh, there's gators, and we're like trying to like throw like ham and stuff at it, and they just like wouldn't even react. And I was like, oh, alligators are boring.
Yeah.
They like,
Yeah, they got to be like
I
trained.
mean, look at like a ham would like land on its head, and it would just sit there.
Yeah.
We like get too close, and it would just like jump in the water. And we're like, oh, what the hell?
Have you been to New Orleans yet?
I haven't.
Oh man, we gotta go. Dude.
I want to go check it out. I know it's pretty close to here.
Yeah, it took us like 5 hours to drive there. But dude, it's like the coolest. I've been to like every major city in the United States, like all the major ones, right? Like been to like 37 states and like seen a lot of places, right? New Orleans is like easily the coolest city I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I mean, other than it's a fucking swamp and it's like, have you gotten used to the weather here yet?
Yeah.
No,
I got used to it pretty quick, actually.
This summer, I didn't leave my house for 3 weeks. Like, didn't leave my front door.
Yeah. It's not as bad out on the boat, too. You're
That makes sense.
you're like out on the water. You got a little wind on you. It gets rough sometimes, when there's no wind, it's like, oh, it's rough, but there's a little breeze and it's definitely a little bit cooler on the water.
Yeah.
I got used to it pretty quick, but I also like, I'm in like hot desert a lot for like, most of the festivals I do are like,
I would rather do dry.
it's definitely dry heat is definitely easier to deal with, but I'm like coming from like, I live on Indio for a month out of the year doing Coachella. It's like, it's pretty hot, dry desert. And then I'm out, I do another show in Bakersfield that I'm in for 6 weeks where it's, 105 degrees every day. So it wasn't too much of an adjustment to go straight from that to like, all right, it's humid here.
Yeah. It's like really bad here though.
Yeah. It's definitely rougher than a dry heat. And like the thing with like a dry heat is like, you can kind of escape it in the shade.
Yeah.
Whereas like the humidity, like you can't really escape it that much. Like it's just.
Yeah, dude. I like walk out. My front door to my truck is like legitimately 15 feet. And it's like I leave my front door and get in my truck and I'm already sweating. It's like, what the fuck? And so yeah, New Orleans is like an amazing city. When we were there was like, it wasn't like a holiday or anything. Like it was just normal, like business as usual, like a day in the French Quarter. And it was like a fucking party. There were like a bunch of like housewives and like just older women like walking around naked with like butt plug tails in and like just naked, like walking down the street. I was like, this is amazing. My wife is like, you're never coming back here alone. I was like, yeah, don't send me here alone for sure.
Come to Burning Man.
I've been to Burning Man.
Oh, you have?
I went, yeah. Dude, so my buddy and I owned a moving company. And like in between moves, we would do like freelance driving work. And so these like Arabian princes would like fly to San Bernardino. We would pick them up in these RVs and then we'd drive them up to Reno. And then we'd fly home from Reno and then come back and pick them up. And we did this like 3 years in a row. Well, one of the drivers, like they take certain drivers in with them and like buy them tickets and like they just pay their way through the whole thing so that they don't have to deal with the driving part. And one of the drivers like flipped out on the drive from San Bernardino to Reno. And it was like, we don't know what to do. And I was like, well, I'll stay, like they were like, okay, like they gave me the ticket and like paid for it and shit. And it was one of the wildest experiences I've ever had. And I was like not sober. So, like I was like at our camp, my eyes were just like peeled back for like days and I was just like scared, like basically like what is going on?
Well, you got to try it sober.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
It's like, yeah, it's one of my favorite things in the world. It's one of those funny things where everyone just like, they think of it as like that crazy drug fueled. I mean, there's a lot of drugs there. There's a lot of stuff where they think about it. It's just like, oh, it's crazy orgies and drugs. But it's like, if that's what you're looking for, yeah. But like, I don't know, there's so much just like amazing.
I just
like,
went into it ignorant. Like I didn't know what it was. I knew it was like, I had like known the history of like how it started and how it ended up like being what it is. But I didn't realize like what it was until I got in there and it was like day 2. And I'm like, this is really, and then the people that I was with. So one of the RVs that they got was like just costumes. That was like filled with just like leather and just crazy stuff. And like these dudes were really gross. Like they were just gross people,
Yeah.
like just filthy rich, and like came here for something very like a very specific experience. And dude, it was like all the way up they're getting high, and like all the way up they're just getting loaded so that they can like get there just like out of their minds. And so like that was the experience that I had, was like we were just out of our minds.
Yeah. You could see it with a new set of eyes.
Yeah, definitely. No, I have other friends that like have definitely gone sober, and it was like a magical experience. And I was like, I don't ever want to go again. Like just so where we were at, we're like in one of the inside rings like of parking, and it was like we didn't have to like go far to go onto the playa, and it was like the amount of drugs, the amount of people that they like brought through, and just like the experiences that were like the things that were going on in those trailers. I was just like, this is disgusting. This is like really scary to me. And I was like on so much LSD, I like did not know what was going on. So it was like one of those things, I guess. But I ended up seeing them again the year after that, and then like never doing that again with them. It was crazy. But yeah, I imagine like it'd be a fun experience under the right circumstances. But also, like, are you working?
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, the thing with Burning Man is like everyone's supposed to be kind of working, right? Like that's the difference in like a normal festival that like you go to is produced by producers and whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas like Burning Man is like the whole idea of it is that everybody who goes is like contributing. Like every camp offers something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've gone out a few times like working with some camps. And the last few years that I've gone out, I was like going out managing art cars.
Oh,
so
cool.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah. There's like, so I go to concerts all the time, like shows all the time still. My buddies will like come through and like, so I still have like a few friends that are like in pretty big bands. And so like they'll come through and be like, hey, you want to come? And like, or like next summer, I'm going to run the merch. I'm talking about it with him, but like I want to run the merch, like all of his merch for 3 of the shows for Azalea Dine's next tour. So that'll be fun. But it's like I go to shows pretty often here. There's a lot of really good shows here actually. Like it's like they do the triangle here. Most people do. Like when they're on tour, they'll go to Dallas, Austin, and Houston. But like last August. Yeah. Last August, my friends came through. Oh, you haven't like done any. I gotta take you to this place. There's like, you ever seen Barbershop?
Mm-mm.
With like Queen Latifah.
I'm familiar with the movie, but I haven't seen
Okay,
it.
so like in those movies, their barbershops is like a club, right? And like there's restaurants all around Houston where it's like the same thing. It's like black owned, like all of their clientele are like everybody that goes there is black. I took these like rock stars, like it was after the show, and it was like they wanted to go eat chicken and waffles. So I found like this place that was open till like 4 a.m. And we went there and it was like it was like a club with like it was a restaurant that like everybody's dancing, like having fun.
What a trip.
Yeah. I was like, this is my like first experience with like an after hours restaurant in Houston. And it's like, oh yeah, this is normal. Like, what? This is pretty cool. But so yeah, what do you think? You're just doing the boat thing now?
Yeah, so I came out like kind of near the end of June to meet with your brother and go over just kind of like so Morona and I started talking like a year ago. He was like, hey, like I want to get a fishing charter going. He's like, would you want to come help me do it? Because originally Michael was going to help him do it.
Yeah. And now he's got other shit going on, right?
Yeah, now
like the pickleball.
Yeah, now he's doing the pickleball thing. So it was like we've been like kind of tentatively talking about it, and yeah, and I was kind of just like I've been in this place recently. I'm in like an interesting like transitionary period in my life right now of just like kind of like after all these years on the road,
settling down.
settling down. I've been, kind of like, the older I get, like the more and more wearing it is to just be constantly traveling,
Yeah.
kind of chipping away at myself here and there. Like also just like a lot of just like internal realizations, it's like,
What am I gonna do?
yeah, not what am I going to do? And then just like, kind of just like another level of just kind of like reflection and growth that needed to happen of like, like realizing like how I've set up my life. Like, it's like, I've been sober, but I've still kind of like my entire sobriety, like I've been still just kind of like living my life for a fix,
Okay.
even in sobriety, even some of the things aren't negative, but like, it's like whether it's like, you know, working out or like playing dodgeball like me and your brother used to do, or like this fun exciting like work stuff that I do, or like going to hang out with my friends, right? Those are all like positive things compared to like getting high.
Yeah.
But I just realized like how much I use those things to escape a feeling that I didn't even really realize was there,
Yeah.
in a similar way. And then, and not to mention, like I've been sober, but you know my addiction can still come out in all kinds of other ways,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. For sure.
with sex,
Mhm.
with video games, with all kinds of stuff. And I got to this point, like I had really kind of stopped working on myself very much,
Mhm.
cause it was like life,
I'm fucking sober.
life got good. I'm sober. Don't really have any problems, like whatever. And then started overindulging in all these other fixes that were just not getting high,
Yeah.
and then, definitely created some problems in my life too, and that started to manifest. And I've like over the last year of like really had to kind of start to take a look at like, what am I doing?
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
And like you really need to check myself where it's like, it really got as bad too as like a feeling of a relapse almost,
Yeah. Like the unmanageability around like addict behavior is problematic regardless of whether you're using it or not. Right? Like there so I tell people all the time, like I was manifesting addict behavior when I was a kid. Right?
Yeah.
There was like problematic behavior. And then yeah, like my medical director like talks about like he's a doctor. Like he's very aware of like the manifestation of like the problematic behaviors. And it's like still, unless you're like constantly putting yourself under a microscope around like the outcomes of your behavior, it's very likely that you'll like fall into problematic behavior, especially patterns of like problematic behavior where it evolves into, it could start off like very simple and innocent and then evolve into like something problematic. And it could be like around sex is a big thing, right? A lot of people like in early recovery will like have problematic sex or like destructive sex patterns because it's like, well, I'm not using,
Yeah.
right? Or like and then it's your problematic behaviors like bleeding into somebody else's life. And then there's like the video game thing, right? Like video games is like a black hole. Some people it's not a problem. And some people like I tell people I could turn a candy bar into a fucking problem. Like
Yeah.
I'm not normal.
Yeah.
The way that I extrapolate and like the way that I evolve into what I'm doing like turns problematic pretty quick.
Yeah. And like, look, like I can navigate those things better than I can drugs, but I
Yeah.
will still use them the same way and, create some problems for myself.
Yeah.
And it was a difference, when I was 18 and I'm first getting sober and, you know, having these unhealthy sex, relationships or whatever, or
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter. Like it did, or not, it doesn't matter.
The consequences
The
were not as great.
consequences are nothing. And the older I get, and now I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, this is like, these consequences are real.
Yeah.
And like, this is really not just me, but it's affecting me, and it really affected other people and hurt other people.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And I really like like a year ago, I had kind of gotten myself to this point that like I was as broken, if not more, than my last relapse.
Yeah. In recovery.
In recovery.
Mhm.
Yeah. 13, I was 13 years sober, and like entirely. And it was like, you know, everything on the outside should seem fine. You know, I've got great friends and, you know, like I've done, you know, pretty well in my career. I've got more money than I've ever had. I can, you know, not like I make great money, but I've been smart enough that I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Um, and I was fucking miserable, wanted to die.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, this is, you know, some needs a change in my life, you know, in my lifestyle overall, you know, and, you know, I love what I do for work, but it chips away from me too much. What can I find that's more sustainable, um, to where I can continue to look at myself, you know, and continue to like kind of like not be putting myself on the back burner
Yeah.
and continue doing this. So, so yeah, like Moroni and I had been back and forth on, you know, just like a little bit. And then I was like wrapping up a show in June and I didn't have any work booked. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go out there and check it out and we'll see what's going on.
Yeah.
And then, I was like, started getting out there with him. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. Like when I look at, so I haven't been sober for that long, right? But like,
How long have you been sober this time?
18, 19 months or something like that. But like, so when you look at like on December 28th, it'll be 5 years since I got arrested. So like, I robbed that bank the day after Christmas in 2020. But of the last like 5 years, I think I've spent like less than 3 weeks high, right? And so like there's like a decent amount of sobriety in there, but I'm also 36, right? And it's like I have this long history of just fucking nothing, basically. Like a long history of my addiction. My entire adult life I used problematically, like going to prison, fucking being homeless, like involved in gangs, like really problematic use, right? It wasn't like, well, I fucked up my life a little bit and like got a DUI or something. It was like, no, all of individually, like all the consequences that I've suffered, like one of them is normally enough for like people to like straighten their life up. And it was like, oh, multiple overdoses, multiple prison terms, lost marriage, lost kid, oldest of 10 kids, completely cut off from them, being homeless for years, like by choice, like making the decision where it's like, I no longer want to have to deal with trying to find a home. Like, this is a problem. It's getting in the way of my use. So, just going to be homeless now and fuck it. Like, I already spend all my time with homeless people anyway. Like, so being homeless, health complications around, and then, so like health complications, overdoses, like waking up in hospitals. That time where it was like, I don't know actually what was going on because I didn't stay long enough for the doctors to say, like, this is what happened. This was the outcome. Like, this is what was contributing to whatever was fucking going on with you. I left the hospital. So the only assumption that I have is like that the infection had like gotten into my blood somewhere. And that was like having a mental effect on me. Cause it was like, I couldn't think straight. Like, and normally I'm like a pretty sharp thinker. This is like, I'm falling asleep, like walking, not like nodding out, like cannot stay awake. Like, so any point to any one of those consequences, and most people would be like, something's got to change. It's like, nope, this is absolutely the route that I'm going, and I'm totally okay with it as long as I can still stick this needle in my arm. That was actually like a big contributor to like when it stopped working, I had no more veins. Like to this day, like I work out pretty intensely. When I work out, I have like a couple veins on my arm that like will pop out, right? And like, but my feet, nothing, right? And it was like I got to that point and was tired of spending like 8 hours a day like fishing for a vein. My necks are gone, like all of them. So I just started like shooting up into my muscles, and that was when like the health complications really started because it was like I'm injecting dirty drugs into my body, not into a vein, like into my muscles. And I would get these abscesses that like, they would turn into like a softball. And then I would finally like be able to like stick a razor in there and like drain it myself. And I was like, not realizing the danger that I was actually putting my body in and like my health in. And like now I like, since I got sober, I've like kind of researched like what was going on. And it was like, this kills a ton of people every year. Like those infections kill people every year. It's like, geez. It's like really crazy, right? And so it's like through all of the problematic, like all of the destructive behavior and all that stuff, it was like um I don't even remember where I was going with this, but um I guess the bottom line is like, oh, my sobriety now, right? Like um where I'm at today, I really don't remember where I was going.
It's okay.
Whatever. But yeah, so life looks like super different. And it's like, I would have never guessed that like this would have been the outcome. If you would have told me 5 years ago, let's see, it's October. Okay. 5 years ago today, I was living under a bridge, like doing crazy shit. And if you had told me, like, Matt, you're going to be clean, you're going to have two daughters, you're going to be like opening treatment centers and like you're going to be sober, I'd have been like, you're fucking crazy. I didn't think this was in the cards at all. I honestly didn't think I would ever see any of you guys again. And that was like the reality of it.
I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah, I mean it was interesting. And it's like it hasn't been like hard to make the right decision. All of that like really has made it so that it's like, okay, this is a lot easier than what I was doing for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Get to the point where it's like, what else are you gonna do?
Oh, that's where we were
Yeah.
going. It's like you and yeah. So yeah, the reflections around like what are we gonna do? Like, am I growing up or am I just staying stagnant? Like, and then like where what you're talking about, like I have a lot of young people in my treatment center right now, right? And it's like you could tell them all day like what's around the corner, right? If you relapse, this is probably gonna happen, or if you don't stay clean, this is what's gonna happen. But
Doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't matter, right? It's like those decisions around getting sober. Like I tell people all the time, the easiest part about getting sober is quitting doing the drugs. Like quitting drinking, quitting doing whatever you're doing is probably gonna be the easiest part around like you becoming sober. Because that like,
Yeah.
how many times did you quit? Like I quit hundreds of times probably.
I guess just twice.
Yeah,
But it's it's like the cliche thing where they say that, the drugs are the solution, not the problem.
yeah,
Like, I believe in that because, I'll use all different kinds of things as a solution. It's
yeah,
just what sobriety offers me is a foundation that I can use for, you know, sorting my life out and like being a functional person and finding peace and do this stuff. But it doesn't, sobriety doesn't,
solve the problem.
yeah, it doesn't give you any of that.
Yeah,
It gives me the ability to, you know, make right wrongs, or it gives me the ability to have a life or the ability to do that. But, you still have to go do it.
yeah. So like, what were you're not married, right?
No.
And are you like dating anybody?
Mm, no, not really right
Do
now.
you want to have kids?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, like that was like a so I have a big family and that was always like a big thing that I wanted to like have kids and it was like, how am I gonna do that doing this? You know, like raise a kid under this bridge or something? Like it's fucking possible to like and the crazy part is like I was homeless for long enough where it's like I had friends that had kids that were homeless. Like while they were homeless, had kids.
That's rough.
Rough. Right. And they always lose them. Like they
Yeah.
always lose them. But then that turns into like this whole, I'm gonna get my dude. I knew this girl for years. Every time you talk to her, it'd be like, oh yeah, I'm just working on getting my kids back. And it's like, no, you're not, dude. You're right under this bridge with us. Like it's so yeah, the crux of like our problems, especially in addiction, like is never a stagnant thing. It's like ever evolving. It's like this you might be using originally because of trauma. What I saw a lot of was like codependency and enabling becomes like the crux of everybody's problem. Like if you have that enabling family or like that codependency with a family member, that becomes the fucking problem more than anything else. So yeah. So what are you gonna do?
With my life,
Yeah,
figuring it out.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, for now, yeah, trying to get this business going with your brother, and we're working on that. I'll keep doing shows here and there. Um,
So as far as like education, you graduated high school, you didn't graduate,
I didn't graduate.
and then you didn't do any college.
Uh-uh.
So I did like some college, and it was like I went there for the girls. Like really is what it ended up being. It was like I failed every class except for I was in advanced ballroom, and I think I got like my only actual grade, and it was still like a B. So yeah, I didn't do like the education thing. Obviously, like you know what I did.
Yeah.
Uh, and then like in prison, like I found out you could get time off if you got your GED. You could get 6 weeks off every year that you were sentenced if you got your GED in there, which is a lot of time. Like
Yeah.
it's like 5 months almost. So I ended up like getting a GED in there too, but I already like had my high school diploma. And so now when you look, this is what I was told. The prison system found out that I did that, and they told me like because you did this on your record, you will no longer have a high school diploma. It's gonna be a GED. Like, well, good thing I'll never need it. Like
It like doesn't really matter today.
that's true too, right? Like, dude, have you seen this whole thing that's going on with Generation Alpha?
No.
So, are you a millennial?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's like
93.
the millennials, Gen Z, and then Gen Alpha, right? So, like, we're talking about like probably like 12 and under. Well, we're raising that generation. Like, we're their parents.
Yeah.
Millennials are those people's parents. And these kids are like 10, 11, 12 years old and younger. But like the 10, 11, 12 year olds are like making commitments to sobriety, making commitments to like celibacy and shit like that. It's like, yeah, very,
Wild.
very young people like making these commitments to this stuff. And I know it isn't like influenced by their parents because we're their parents. Like our generation is so fucked up. Like we got like crazy shit going on. This is like the most confusing time I think anybody's ever been alive. Like in recent history, think about it. Like you got a bunch of men walking around like legitimately accepted as women today. Like it's okay, which is it's okay, right? But it's like that's what's going on. That's what's okay today. You know, it's like, geez, dude. Like, so now we have like this whole generation of kids where it's like they are making these commitments. And like, have you seen like the sober high schools around here?
No. Never heard of that.
Dude, they have like entire high schools where like they're called sober high schools, and like nobody parties, nobody drinks, nobody does drugs. Like, and they're all like highly accountable to each other. And like, yeah, it's like a thing around here.
I mean, is that gonna last, or are those kids just gonna like go to college and go crazy?
I don't know, but like if you think about it, it's
It's like
like
the stereotypical like,
maybe,
Mormon kid that explodes
yeah,
when they're late, later on. Like,
maybe, but like they have like cougars on campus now. You know what that is?
no.
Cougars on campus is like the sobriety movement at universities, and it's massive. And so like they're going out of like this, they're integrating like into these sober like programs onto campuses, and like these kids are like going their entire formative years like with commitments to sobriety.
I mean, that's awesome, because it's like, I definitely think like a lot of our generation, even people that aren't addicts, like I see a lot of my friends and coworkers and community struggle with still just the social pressure of
Yeah.
drugs and alcohol, that like they're not addicts like us, but they like still feel like they need to have a drink in their hand at the party, and
Yeah.
like they don't, and I'm
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
and I'm always trying to tell them, I'm like, you don't. And I'm like, what's the, like, what's the difference? Like,
Yeah. So Jericho, like, will go out, and it's like me, my medical director, my clinical director, my executive director, like, we're all sober, right? And, like, we'll go to dinner, and like Jericho will like order a drink and drink like 3 sips out of it, and then like leave it. And we're all looking at him like, this guy's fucking crazy. How does he do that? Like, yeah, there's just not like you can tell the difference between like people who suffer from the disease and people who don't. But then like what you're talking about around like the social pressures around drinking is so normal like in today's society, where it's like if you don't drink you're weird or like you're not normal. And so I imagine that like I've never had to deal with that because I've always been a very problematic user where I was probably the people like pressuring normal people to drink more, you know.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine what that would be like. So like, I don't even like drinking. It's like I gotta drink. I don't like drinking anyway, but um, I'm Asian, like very Asian genetics as far as that goes. When I drink, I like turn bright red and like get puffy and itchy, and it's very uncomfortable. So that was why I was like slamming heroin in high school. There's also heroin dealers at my high school, so
Yeah. 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 Growing up in San Diego, there's definitely a lot of that close to the border.
yeah, like so you grew up in Oceanside, right?
Yeah. Carlsbad, Encinitas, Oceanside.
Okay. So my best friend, his name is Ryan Mayer. You ever met this dude?
Name maybe sounds familiar. I don't know.
So he's like, oh, he has like Oceanside, like all over. He did, but he's the one that passed away. Um, and like hearing the difference between like being raised, like where I was raised and like what I was doing, and like hearing the difference between what was going on in Oceanside and like down in San Diego. Oceanside's like a really gritty, especially like I think 20 years ago it was very different than it is now. I haven't been to Oceanside in a long time, but
Yeah. I was more in Carlsbad at growing up. But even the difference in like Carlsbad and Encinitas was a funny difference
yeah,
because they're like right next to each other. They're both like these like, you know,
nice.
well off
Yeah.
suburban beach towns. And like Carlsbad, there was definitely like a lot of just, drinking, partying, pills stuff. And then like maybe like later into high school, it was like heroin, opiate stuff was like creeping in. But my friends in Encinitas, it was like a big thing,
Yeah.
like or as like kids like going into ninth grade, like it was like already like heroin was like a
A thing.
huge deal there.
Yeah. So knowing those two, so I've done time with both people from Carlsbad and Encinitas, and it's like the gang in Carlsbad is like they think of them as like a joke, and then the gang in Encinitas like has like some really reputable like people come out of it, and so I think that like that, in my opinion, it's like the bleed from like the underworld into like the kids because that's who they're recruiting into gangs is like freshmen
Yeah.
and
But no,
younger.
I mean there was like straight up like not even like gang affiliated stuff, but like dude, there was like
Yeah,
these kids in these like really well off upper middle class situations that are going across the border smuggling heroin in high school,
that's crazy.
right? Like these yeah, I was like
I mean, I guess yeah, yeah, there was like so my first heroin dealer was 15. It's like
yeah. And like dude, a lot of these kids in Encinitas were like they were rich kids.
yeah, it's definitely a rich kid drug for sure. Like when I think about like the two types of people that I've like ran in those circles with, it was like the extreme of like really poor gangbangers and like really rich white kids on both sides of it. So it's also one of those drugs that's like very specific. Like uppers does something, they all do something very specific to you, but it's a very comforting drug where it's like, yeah, like these kids like have a great life. Of course they're gonna do like the one that makes you feel even better. Whereas like stimulants, it's like a hit or miss where depending on like your genetics and like your chemical makeup, like you can end up like super hating life on stimulants. Versus like with that, it's like I don't know anybody that like got high and hated their life. They got hated after,
Yeah.
but
I know a lot of people that ate it after.
yeah, but yeah, it's an interesting thing. So where like what part where do you live?
I'm in Friendswood.
You're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Um,
Um,
I guess like I'm in like the townhouses where Ron used to live, I guess.
I wasn't.
You weren't around?
No.
Yeah.
I've only been here since last January.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just like barely beat you
But
out
yeah, I'm
here.
like right on the border, or I don't know. Yeah, whatever. I'm in Friendswood,
Oh, and you're on like Friendswood.
off of Friendswood Boulevard,
Yeah, yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of know where you're at. You're like over by like that McDonald's is over there. It's like
Uh,
down the street.
Maybe, I
You
don't
know
know.
where
Probably not.
Perry's and Son is? Okay. Have you ever been there? Oh, dude, it's so good. We gotta go.
Yeah. I don't do much. I go out on the boat and keep to myself.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time here now. Like I'm here basically every day, and like I teach our education groups, and but other than that, dude, I'm like at my house. I don't really do anything. But I'm like, what am I gonna do? I go. I hate fishing. I hate fishing. Like I am not patient.
I love fishing.
Like you know how I drive. Like that's how I fish. It's like no time for that.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't have anything to do. I'm not patient. And then I just found out that like the fishing charter thing, it's like you guys catch the fish and then people reel it in.
Yeah, it's a lot of the time.
It's like,
But I mean, we still go out ourselves sometimes too.
yeah. Yeah, some of those pictures are insane. Like the haul that you guys get. It's like,
Yeah. But I have a lot of fun. I feel like I have more fun like making the rig, finding the fish,
yeah,
like kind of like
the
that whole game.
process
Yeah,
of it.
the whole process of it
Yeah.
more than just being the guy doing this,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. That so you're like, okay, let me ask you this. The realizations that you had around like where am I going? Like, did it have to do with like wanting to get married and have kids?
That's definitely a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think for a while I've like kind of like looked around at a lot of people in my industry and nothing against them, but just real like, you know, people who are older and have been there a long time and whatever, and just kind of looking at like, that's not the life that I want to have.
Yeah.
You know, like I love what I do
Mhm.
in the festival world. Like I love my job, but just I'm like, that's not, and like, I would just like, that's just not where I want to end up though,
Yeah.
you know? And I had started to notice that for a long time. And then more recently had just realized how much of myself I had sacrificed because like with being on the road that much and how demanding the work is to your attention, like, and like how many of my relationships, you know, not just romantic relationships, but relationships with friends and people and everything that you put on the back burner
Yeah.
and you chip away at over time.
Yeah.
How much of myself, because like one thing that's like so enticing about it, that's like you go live in this bubble of a community that you're working with. And like when I go to work, I don't have to think about anything but my job.
Yeah.
Right.
Like 24/7.
I don't have to think about anything else
Yeah.
though, you know? And it's like I can fully lock into that, right? And like, you know, and do a really good job and be so focused and be like in that moment such a fulfilled version of myself. But I don't have to think about anything else. I don't have time to think about anything else. You know, your
Yeah.
food's taken care of, your accommodations are taken care of, everything's taken care of. It's just like you make sure this show happens and
Yeah.
everything else we got covered.
What is your actual like duties? Like, what do you do?
I do all different kinds of stuff. Like I said, I freelance. So, but most of what I do is like site management. So I'm like essentially just like a project manager.
Yeah.
Like it's very similar to like what a project manager would do for construction.
Like a build site. So
Yeah.
just making sure like that the other contractors are where they're supposed to be and like where they're doing what places are getting set up.
Yeah,
and
essentially
like,
that. Yeah, everything's scheduled right and it's happening as it's supposed to be and whatever. But it's like I'm doing all that, you know, all the pre-production planning and meetings
Yeah.
and spreadsheets and stuff, and then on site. But I do get to be a bit more hands-on than like a construction project manager
Yeah.
would be, though.
Yeah. And did you start like at the bottom of this and then
Mhm.
like work your way up?
Yeah, I started as a stagehand, it's just like a
Like a
laborer. Yeah. And then, worked my way up, and I've done all different kinds of stuff. I was like a stage technician for a while. I was like a truck driver. I was just a normal, just site ops, labor, heavy equipment operator. You know, I've done all different kinds of stuff, and I'll still take different kinds of jobs here and there. You know, like I had spent a couple years managing this art car.
What is an art car?
You've been to Burning Man, right?
Yeah.
All the big parade.
Yeah.
Float.
Tell them what it is.
Tell them what it is. It is true. It's like a parade float, kind of, but some of them are just a high end build. So,
Yeah.
it was like a $1.5 million build of this, alien spaceship themed art car.
Yeah, it's like a full-blown production show on
Yeah,
a
and
single
so
float.
it's got full sound and lighting and everything. And an art car can be anything. I mean, it's some, an art car could be a golf cart that looks like a chariot,
Yeah.
or an art car could be, a semi truck that's built into a 70-foot stage.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so around your decisions to like settle down, was there like goals that you had set or
Not anything concrete, but it's just like I guess like a direction that I've been wanting to head. I've been wanting to figure out for a while of just like, all right, like, because I know like when I have kids, I don't want to be on the road 9 months a year.
for sure?
Like I want to be there. Like I
Yeah.
see the struggle that some of my coworkers have, being away from their family so much and the extra stress and just like how rough that is. And it was
Yeah.
like, when I have kids, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. You're not able to fully focus
Yeah.
that way either.
So I've never wanted, and I never wanted to entirely step away from that world, but I'm like, I kind of knew I'm like, I need to find a way to make money doing something more sustainable for, the life that I want to have. I
Yeah.
need to find a way to make money and be able to go home every night.
Yeah, there's it's a hard world. Like like adulting is not easy so like I was never taught like how to adult properly, right? Like if I would have stayed and like done what I was supposed to, I would have, but it was like no, like I went out, I was kicked out at 16.
Yeah.
Right? And it was like very early on, it was like you're gonna rob, steal, and kill for like your food. It's like that is not normal.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't the go to school, get a degree,
Yeah.
like find a career.
Some of us are wired different and have to just go figure it out.
For sure.
No matter what your circumstances are,
No, I tell people all the time is like the path that I went down was like dictated by, so really what it all comes down to is like I had to do certain things in order to like become the person that I was supposed to. And it was like if I would have done what my parents wanted me to do and like gone to school and like gone to law school and done all that, I would have been 35 years old having a true like midlife crisis and probably would have fucked everything up, ended up homeless still. Like there were certain experiences that I had that I'm like thoroughly convinced I was going to have them no matter what. No matter what path I went down, like I was going to end up under that bridge at some point in my life.
Yeah.
Thoroughly convinced of that. Because ultimately, like I really feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. Like this wasn't, and there's a lot of things that like can point me. Look, I just realized this. My name on here is Hat Mandy. That's so funny. Anyway, like when I like really think about like the path that I went down and like how I ended up here and like the way that I feel about everything that's going on, and it's like this is for sure what I was supposed to do. And it's like building a treatment center should be like hard. Like any other business, it's like hard to get things off the ground or like hard to like put it together or like hard to figure out like what you need to do. And it's like I tell people all the time, like I'm in the back seat of this. Like all this shit just like happens to me like one piece at a time. And so it's like I'm fully aware of like how fortunate I've been around like how the development phase of this is going. And it's like, man, life, especially now, like that I've decided, like made the decisions to like do the things that I'm supposed to do, not really because I'm supposed to do them, because I want to do them. Life has gotten like immensely easier. Like I can't even tell you, like I go to sleep at night and I'll wake up and like be like, I can't believe I'm fucking here. Like I can't believe I'm in a bed. Can't believe like I have a home. Can't believe like I have a wife and kids, and like can't believe any of this shit's happening. It's amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I've always like slightly envied your brother Michael on how, for some reason, how easily it is for him to just like do what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Not that it's like it's just like the way he like looks at his responsibilities or whatever. He's just like, I'm just gonna do what I'm supposed to do and be content.
Yeah, I mean,
Everyone's wired a little different, you know?
yeah, everybody is wired a little different. And the I don't know how he does it either. We haven't like really had like since I've been back, we haven't really like
Connected
connected.
much.
No.
Yeah.
And but I do think about like what was the difference? We're biologically this we're really like he's my
Yeah.
full and then I look at like Michael and Jacob even and it's like they're the same fucking person.
And they're completely different.
Completely different.
Entirely different.
Entirely. Like
Yeah.
they are not the same people at all.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, it's like I have another 6 or 7 siblings depending on how you make that distinction.
Every single one of them is entirely different.
Totally different.
Yeah.
You know, and there's like Moroni. Moroni, for example, is like he was like the badass little kid. Like just did a bunch of he tried to light a basketball on fire, like throw it in my
Yeah, he's just like ADD little idiot, but he's also like just become such a
man.
Just a solid man, you know?
Yeah.
Just like solid dude.
Yeah. And then it's funny too, where it's like you look at my family, you look at how the family was created, and it was like all of Russ's sons went on missions and all of Mark's sons did not.
Yeah.
And it was like, so there's got to be like genetic things that pointed towards that. But then you also look at like,
you guys also had a different experience.
Very different experience.
Yeah, there's definitely genetic, but you guys also, you guys had a little bit of a different experience in what that upbringing was. And I mean, you guys even saw your dad coming up more than the younger sibling. You know, the younger siblings have, you know, for the most part, lived this one way forever. Where you know, you guys were, you know, there doing mail routes with him or whatever.
Yeah, paper
routes with him. Yeah,
those are funny memories. I was like younger than 5, like I think when that started, and it was like the whole family going and like folding newspapers and like putting them in it. Yeah, that's a good point, dude. Like,
yeah,
very, very different experiences. Also very different outcomes. Like when you look at like they're all living kind of like very similar lives, but the outcomes around like their mentalities and like Jericho specifically impresses me because it's like you don't have to do any of the shit that you're doing. Like you don't have to be doing like the things that you're doing and you're still choosing to do them. So that's always like since I've like he's the sibling that since I came back, like we talk multiple times a day on the phone and like we see each other almost every day and like we're building this, but we're also doing like other shit. And it's like Jargo's not in recovery. He doesn't know what a treatment center really is. He doesn't understand like what goes on or like how to frame it or build it or like develop curriculum or like
he's a pretty driven guy though.
But a very driven kid, yeah. And he is like the dead center. Like he's a true middle child, you know, like where it's like it's funny when you talk to him about like his upbringing, a lot of his stories are around like hanging out with his older brothers and like seeing crazy shit and like just experiencing that stuff. But it was always like he was always like you have to take Jericho with you. I was like, okay, that's fine. We'll take him with us. And we just kind of break it down to him like, you're going to come hang out with us. And if you tell on us, you're never hanging out with us again. So it was very easy for him to be like, okay, I just won't tell on you, you know? And then it was like, Jericho was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't think his wife will ever listen to this, but like all the girls like loved him, like bringing him around like all of our girlfriends and shit. He was always like that cute chubby kid that was like super into money, like super into money. Like, and so I had this girlfriend. She wasn't ever like an actual girlfriend, but she was there all the time. And like, her name was Jessica. And she would like, this one year, she got him like a 6-pack of Orange Crush and then wrote him this like birthday card that was like, I have an orange crush on you. And I'm sure he like kept those for like ever. But yeah, it was always like fun to like, now it's fun to like talk about like his experience around like what happened when I was a kid or when I was a young teenager and like his point of view of like what was going on. like totally different than what I experienced, but like to be able to hear, it'd be interesting to like also talk to Michael and Jacob about like they probably don't want to talk about it, but like I would love to hear their sometime like their perspective around like what was going on
Growing up.
growing up.
Yeah. Yeah, Michael doesn't talk about it much.
Yeah, I doubt they would. It wasn't it wasn't an easy childhood, right? It was like some of the things that I openly talk about, I had to like build up to that. Like,
Yeah.
and so now it's like between the podcast and like doing what I do and like sober coaching people and like doing all that, it's like I have become very comfortable with talking about like a lot of those experiences, but they aren't like normal things to like you said earlier, like people aren't like taught to talk about their problems.
And you were also definitely, as the oldest child, the most cognizant of whatever
Yeah.
was going on.
Yeah. Did they ever tell you the story about how they found out they were adopted?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I have like memories of my biological parents like together, like all of us like laying in bed
Yeah.
together. And like they didn't even know they were adopted till they were like 8 years old. So yeah, definitely a difference in also I don't know when like the rest of my siblings found out that like that was my biological dad, but he's been around
I
their
know.
entire life.
It's the most bizarre. It's always been the
I
most
know.
bizarre thing to me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, especially like being around Michael so much and just how there's just no relationship there. And it's just like,
Yeah, I mean, so I got in trouble like when I was a teenager. Do you remember this? Did I ever tell you about this?
maybe, I don't
And I
know.
like got sent to live with him.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
was in like that much trouble where like my parents sent me to live with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, and so I got to like talk to him about certain things or like bring up shit. The other thing is I remember, I remember a lot of stuff. Whereas like Michael and Jacob probably don't remember a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Michael seems pretty unfazed by it. He just,
Yeah, I mean, it isn't like it isn't like that didn't, so I've done like a lot of trauma
Yeah.
work and I've done like a lot of like,
yeah, maybe not even to where it'd be like a trauma, but just like, it's like a disconnected, like,
it's just not a thing.
yeah, it's just not a thing.
Yeah, it's definitely not. And like Russ, dude, through all of my bullshit, like obviously like those 10 years of like me not talking to him, like he wasn't there, but like he's always since I was a kid like been my greatest advocate. And so like
Yeah.
he's never treated us differently. He's always looked at us like his sons.
He's got to be one of the most impressive people I've ever met in my
For
life.
sure.
I am always like so intrigued by his like motivation and like for not like motivation for success, but motivation to give to other people.
It's crazy.
Because it's like, like I was, I was recently like working for like another very wealthy person that owned that art car.
Yeah.
Right. He's got like hundreds of millions. Right. Great guy. But his whole life and motivation is just like, he's the complete opposite of your dad.
Hoarding money.
Not hoarding money. He didn't even ever like set out to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's like he developed a video game and sold it for a couple $100 million and
Really?
it just kind of happened. Right. It just kind of like fell into his lap.
That's dope.
Right. But he like doesn't have kids. Right. Like doesn't have like a lot of people he's supporting financially. It's not like he's like selfish.
Yeah.
But he just is like, he's
different mindset.
He's got a couple very nice houses. He's got a very nice yacht, and he just like kind of goes around and travels with his fiance, and they just maybe they're married. No, they're engaged. But just kind of like is like running around having fun, kind of doing what he wants, and then like whereas and he retired. He got that money and he retired.
Yeah.
Whereas like your dad has like had success and just continues to like, he just, like he could live like that if he wanted to, but instead he gives it all away and just like works harder and harder and harder to support so many people. And then it's like, I don't know. It's just like, I'm like, where's that where does that come from? You know, it's like,
He like when I like from my perspective, which is like his oldest child,
yeah.
right? Like from my perspective, it's the struggle. Like his struggle coming up to where he's at, like really geared him towards like he never wants anybody else to have to go through that, is what I think. And he does a really good job of like giving without expectation, which is not normal. Like that is not, if you need, if he is connected to you and you need something, you no longer need it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and he essentially is like allowing or you know, having everybody in his life live the same quality of life that
Which
he
is crazy.
Is crazy. Like all the kids, all the grandkids, everybody, he's just like, instead of me being uber, whatever, having everything I want, everybody, you know, everybody's gonna live comfortably.
Yeah, it's so the situation that I was raised up in, like, and then so my first prison term, there was like some tumultuous shit going on, like when I went to prison. And then when I got out of prison, it had like kind of stabilized. And then I pretty quickly, like, again went out and then didn't have any contact with anybody for 10 years. And one of the things that I thought about all the time was like, I wonder how they're doing. Like, I wonder if they're okay. Right. And like that office building disappeared one day. And I was like, oh shit, I wonder if they're all right. It was never, in my mind, it was never like, I'm going to come back and they're going to be fucking rocking, like doing what they're doing now. And then I came.
Oh, because at that point you had no communication and
zero.
And you just saw the Potter handy go away.
Disappear. Yeah.
Oh.
So when I came back, it was like, I didn't know what I was coming back to. And then I came back and I was like,
came back and it's like insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, dude, this isn't.
So what's it been like, like reintegrating, like,
it's rough
after stepping away? Like,
yeah, it's rough. You know, my mom, like, and like, it's the wreckage of my past. And the reality is like the person that I am and the people like that they are, like, I don't really fit in with them. You know, like they're all very like family centered and like really social with each other. And like, I've just never been that person. And then, like my recovery and like my journey is very specific to like what I'm doing, like with my life. And so it's been like, they've made it very easy for me to like come back and like be comfortable. I'm not like a part of them.
But you've rebuilt a good solid relationship with Jericho at this point.
Yeah. And the way that I think it'll end up working is like,
and Jaden's working with you guys too, right?
Yeah. Jaden's over operations of our other business, which is way less complicated as far as like the build out goes. Like it's pretty cut and dry. Like you get the house, you get the people in it, and then you just make sure that like the boxes are checked. We're serving a whole different demographic of people over there versus this. It's like the moving target of building a treatment center is like really complicated around like the clientele, the expectations around like what are your obligations to your clients. Like our obligations to our clients over there is like you have a house. Like over here, it's like around the testing and like the outcomes of the clients. And it's like, we take all that really personally, where it's like, if we have like a negative outcome for a client, we failed the client. Right. And the reality is we're talking about sobriety and it's like we're going to have clients that OD. We're going to have clients that probably die. We're going to have clients that make it. We're going to have clients that struggle through their recovery and like finally get it someday, or like the ones that just never do. So it's like, we are developing curriculums based on outcomes for the clients. And it's like, so in this business specifically, like in order to get a 5X valuation on a treatment center, you got to have a 5% success rate. So 5 out of 100 have to stay clean to get a 5X valuation on your annual revenue. And in order to get a 10X valuation, how much do you think you need? What success rate do you need to get a 10X valuation?
7?
13. I mean, and so it's like failing across the board.
What's considered a success?
So anything after 5% is like
no. What is considered a like
1 year of sobriety? Yeah, that's what they're basing it all off of. The success rate, the metric that they use is can you keep people sober for a year? Because the insurance agencies and companies, that's what they're looking at. When they're looking at outcomes for clients who receive services, they just track the first year of sobriety.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess they have to try to track it in some way, but I mean, really tracking what it is so much like actual success is so much more complicated than that.
I mean, yeah.
Because like a relapse could or couldn't,
involve substances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even if somebody does relapse, right? Like what you offered them, like maybe you gave them a foundation and then they come back to it, or,
Yeah.
it's like, and, it's like, I don't know. I'm not like super, I mean, I am fully sober,
Yeah.
but I'm also like, I have seen people that are, not entirely sober and do other like holistic things or whatever, and maybe they're not entirely sober but have like they're recovered.
I mean,
right?
yeah.
Like I think there's a lot of avenues like to recovery, and it's like, and like, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, so part of what we're doing around the development of this curriculum is we're going through like the dictionary of recovery and like having to redefine a lot of things, right? Because like in a multiple pathway approach, like we're not tracking like how many meetings have you gone to, like what step are you on, do you have a sponsor and shit like that.
Yeah.
Because within a multiple pathway approach, that immediately like that framework says you're not expected to go to 12-step meetings. You're just expected to like develop a sober community, or like at least a sober social group that like you can like calibrate your moral compass, and B, like self cannot critique self. So like you have to have somebody that you answer to. Right. And so it's like, there's all of that. But then what you're talking about around like outcomes, right? And when you look at sobriety, like as a definition, like a lot of people say it's like 100% abstinence. Right. But like the reality is, what about the guy that like was living under a bridge 5 years ago, slamming heroin and like getting hospitalized every month because of what he was doing, and now he just smokes weed? Right? Like, is that guy in recovery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you can't even like pin it on, I mean, obviously certain substances you could, like there's probably no world that if that guy's still doing heroin, he's happy.
Correct.
or
Yeah.
fulfilled or anything, Yeah, but it's like somebody could be, smoking a little bit of weed here and there and be absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like somebody could be doing it and be all right,
Yeah.
or it's like, I don't know. I mean, definitely the last few years, like I've seen like a lot of people like in the sober communities like start to like microdose psilocybin,
For sure.
and like that kind of stuff. And it's like I haven't messed around with any of it, but I have seen these people who I know that they like hardcore heroin addicts and stuff, and like I see the life that they're living now, and they're they're fulfilled and they're happy, and they're they're not living that addict life. I mean, that's really what it is. It's like if something is not serving you as an addict, like we're gonna bring that fucking right to the surface real quick, and fucking blow shit up. It's like there's no fucking hiding it.
Yeah, they've got all these like massive. Do you know what MAPS is? You've probably heard of it. It's the multiple disciplinary application of psychedelic studies. And they're doing like massive studies around like the therapeutic and clinical value of a lot of different things: ketamine, psilocybin, MDMA, DMT. So right now there's a study going on in San Diego at USD. They are intravenously giving people DMT and like hooking them up for like 8-hour drips. And like these people are having these experiences, like especially people with like PTSD and like major depression. They'll have this one medication session or episode, and they completely, like the way that their brain like re-alters its pathways from just one experience is like they're having massive success. Or there's like the you know what TMS is? It's transcranial magnetic systems. Like put this helmet on your head. It's like this medical machine. Like put this helmet on your head. It, like goes on your head, and there's like magnets that spin in it, and like the magnetic fields like causes your brain matter to like readjust itself. And so the thing that they're finding is that major depression, like as a diagnosis, people with major depression or bipolar, they'll go through 15 years of like changing medication, right? And like suffering and like going through like all of these changes in their life constantly, or like something will work temporarily and then it causes bigger problems on the back end, right? And so as a last resort, they will give you this TMS treatment. And there's like a 50% success rate of people like never experiencing depression again.
That's pretty impressive rate.
Dude, it's so like the thing that blows my mind is like we've known about TMS for some amount of years now. We've known about the success rates, and it's like it's on a sliding scale right now where it's like the success rates as you use it more get greater, right? So it's like 50% today. 3 years from now, it hypothetically like could be up to like 75%. But the thing is, this is the last thing that you're trying. Like, why is it the last thing that you're trying if you understand that it works?
Well, also because it's an actual solution instead of a
For sure.
Band-Aid,
For sure.
you know?
Right. And
whereas
so,
like, yeah, the other things, I would imagine somebody with actual chronic depression, not somebody who's, you know, dealing with a spurt of it, antidepressants probably have a 0% success rate.
for sure. Like, and that's the thing. It's like so a lot of this industry is based, so the outcomes are based on broken data sets. It's a broken system that's using broken data sets.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so like the amount of success, or at least the amount of relief that a single patient will have like from these SSRIs is upfront, like really successful. There's like a massive success rate for people that get on it for the first time, and then it just steeply drops off. And it's like, why do we continue to do these things that we understand long-term do not work? And it's like the drugs, when you actually look at what, like pharmacologically, what they were developed for and the amount of time that they're developed for, it's like, you're not supposed to be on SSRIs for life. You're supposed to be on it for like 6 months, taper down, use therapy.
Use that, yeah, to like get some momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's supposed to be like a push start.
Yeah. And then they end up on it for 20 years. Right. And it's like the downstream effect of these drugs. Have you seen like the statistics of mass shooters that are on SSRIs?
No.
So the statistics are crazy. It's like 100% of them are either on SSRIs long term or are like somehow connected to like a trans movement. It's like there's no differentiation. It's those two things across the board.
Gnarly.
Yeah. And so like some of the outcomes of like these people, and it's like when you really think about like chronic depression or like major depression.
Do you have depression?
No. So I always wondered, like, why do I not feel anxiety or depression the same way that all these other people do? Like, I've gone through like depression.
I mean, like through hard stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing: is like the depression that I feel is still like I know people with major depression, and like the physical manifestation of that mental illness is like extremely painful and like debilitating.
Yeah, I have depression. I mean, I still deal with it, you know, like throughout like all of my sobriety, I've had like a lot of spurts of like dealing with depression. Yeah.
Are you on like medication for it?
Mm-mm.
So
no, I haven't wanted to, and it's like, it's almost like the more times I've gone through it and gotten out of it, it's like, even though like I kind of still get back in it, I know I can get out of it.
Yeah.
Even if I can't like immediately like just get up and do it in that moment, even though I know everything I need to do, like I know it's temporary.
Yeah.
Right.
And like how long does it last?
It varies.
What's the longest episode?
I don't know. It's hard to say because it's not like maybe like in severity, like a few months.
Okay. Yeah. So like when I think of like you and like hearing this now, it's like you've been sober for long enough to like actually restructure a lot of the neurological pathways where it's like you fully understand like you're going to be okay. Whereas like a lot of other people never even get there. They'll like suffer, get on medications, which completely blocks like a lot of the rebuilding process. And it's like that's just where they get stuck. Like whereas you've built cognizant and like you're cognizant enough to understand that it isn't like a permanent thing.
Yeah.
There are some people that think that this is permanent. I'm
Yeah.
just stuck this way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like luckily, like I've been able to like be aware of it even when I'm in it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, yeah, I know if I could fucking drag myself out and go to the gym and fucking eat good, then I would feel good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not capable of it in this moment, but I know if I did, and I know I can do that,
then you'd be all. There is like a quick solution immediately for a little while, right? So like even in your depression, like when you pull yourself out of bed and you like do the things that make you feel good temporarily through it.
sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like, all right, yeah, that was like a small win,
Yeah.
you know, or sometimes it, you know,
Doesn't move the needle.
yeah, sometimes it doesn't move the needle.
Yeah. So I always wondered like why don't I get like depressed the same way that other people do? And then I got sober and like did a bunch of trauma work and like really went. So I was doing therapy twice a week for months and then like went down to like once a week for like 9 months and then like twice a month for a long time and then now it's like whenever I need it or like at least once a month like I go see my therapist. And it was like through that process of like working with her office and like getting diagnosed with actually like what was going on. Like when I got that diagnosis, I was like, okay, this makes total fucking sense. Why? And I like answered a lot of questions about like why I don't react the same way a lot of other people do. And I got diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. And it's like really all it points to is that like I feel emotions, but my spectrum of emotions is like this versus everybody else's is like this. And so like my ability to be depressed is probably there, but like the probability of me getting depressed is like non-existent. So I've always like wondered though, like why is it that I don't experience these things? I've watched like plenty of people suffer through depression. And it was like I've gone through very similar things and I know I'm not just like a happy person. Like I'm not just like predisposed to like just being happy, right? But I've never felt the same way that they describe when they talk about their depression. And I've gone through like really when I was a teenager, more than anything, is when I felt depressed. And I think a lot of that had to do with like a biological component around like hormones and like puberty and
Yeah, I feel like that's probably semi-common for a lot of teenagers,
Yeah.
even teenagers that aren't struggling with a lot of other stuff. I feel like
for sure,
just a
for
wave
sure.
of
And like I
doing
remember
things.
what that felt like, and like as an adult, never felt anything like that. So yeah, when I got that
Yeah.
diagnosis, I was like, and then I like started reading on it and like really like figuring out what that meant because I didn't understand like the differentiation between like a BPS or like antisocial disorder or like anything like that. I just thought it was all kind of like categorically the same thing, which it kind of is. But like, um, yeah, I started reading on it and I was like, okay, this absolutely makes sense for like why I have been able to like cope with things or like so dealing with like all my trauma and stuff, she was like, dude, Matt, you're not using because of sexual trauma. You're using because you fucking like it. Like more than anything, right? And so like even that realization or like I'd always kind of known I wasn't using because of trauma. I was using because of my decisions. Like, but even hearing that, it was like a very freeing moment to be able to be like, okay, this is my choices. Like these are my decisions. It isn't and in that I do feel fortunate because a lot of other people are out there doing things like as a downstream reaction to what they're going through biologically. Like a lot of people are out there using because of their depression. A lot of people are out there using because of their sexual trauma or their other types of trauma. And so I was able to be like, okay, I need to stop like putting the accountability off on something outside of myself and was able to like really take ownership of a lot of the decisions that I made. So that was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like looking at the outcomes for clients here and like really deciding like the direction that we're going to go. Because this whole company was built from a client's perspective, like the chairs that we use, the curriculum we're developing, like the interactions, like from the time they answer the phone with us to like the day they get into the chair, like all the way through the programming. It's really geared for like what is going to make you comfortable and what is going to get you to make the decisions to get sober. Like instead of me telling you this is how you have to do it, I'm going to so the speech that I give to everybody and like so I certify sober coaches. Like I'm part of a company that like certifies peer support specialists and I'm like the main facilitator of this company. And what I tell people all the time is that like um, these people are experts in their own life. Like they understand intimately a lot of the time, like what they need. They might not understand like why they're doing what they're doing, but like inherently as humans, we all know what we need. We all know what we should be doing. And so like we set up a situation where first of all, they're safe. And second of all, they're comfortable enough to talk with us. And like, we want you to tell us what your goals are. Like, we want you to tell us where you want to be. We want you to tell us like what it is that, like, what are your hurdles? Like, what is it that you need? And then we establish a treatment plan that'll help you get there. Instead of being like, go to these meetings, get this card, like, do this, do that. It's like, no, you tell me what you need. And if that doesn't work, we'll go down a different route. Like we will figure out what it is that you need for sustained recovery. Instead of like trying to fit a circle into a square, like we'll try to get you into like what it is that you need individually. And so like that whole build out. So I've done like a lot of treatment. Like I did a 3-year program, a 9-month program, a 7-month program, and a bunch of 1-month programs. And all through that, like one of the most important things that I learned was that like I'm never going to do this if you keep trying to tell me what to do. And then kind of like extrapolated that out and like had like a lot of conversations around like what is it actually that like got you clean. And it was always like, you know, like this certain thing happened in my life and it like pointed me in this direction. It was never like, oh, I had this sponsor that forced me to get sober. It was like never that, right? It was always like I had this experience that like directed me towards like wanting to be a better person. Or like a lot of fathers, it'll be like um fathers are like the easiest sale, right? Like just simply ask them like, do you want to be a better father? Like, do you want to be a better person for your kids to like raise them properly? Like, do you want to be a better husband? Like if they and every father does, like everybody who has kids wants to be a better father. And so like you can start from there and be like, if you want to be a better father, like and you're looking at the outcomes for your children, then try this, right? Like try not getting drunk and beating your kids. Like try not like cheating on your wife. Try not like doing this stuff, right? And we like work with a couple people right now where it's like they're going through things that are directly related to their alcoholism. But ultimately, like the alcoholism isn't what they're trying to escape. It's the negative consequences around their family, right? And so it's like the simple question and then like the ultimate answer is like if you want to be a better father, get sober. Like bottom line. Because if you continue to think that like your alcoholism isn't a problem, then you're never going to be a better father or you're never going to be a better son or you're never going to be a better husband or like whatever. Like so we're not asking you like do you want to be sober? Everybody wants like the negative consequences to go away. And so in that, it's very easy to be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Right. But it's really like when you get them to that point of like, I don't want to affect other people negatively, specifically my kids, like it's really easy to be like, then get sober. Right. So yeah, it's like everybody's an expert in their own life. Like we weren't there through their suffering. They were there. Like we weren't there through like all the negative and all like the terrible decision making. Like we don't actually know what the individual needs, but the treatment industry at large, like has these buzzwords around this stuff where they're like, it's individualized treatment plans and like evidence-based care. And like, it doesn't actually mean anything,
Yeah.
you know? And so it's like, if we decide to go with those buzzwords, what we're actually saying is like, you as a person, like Austin York comes in we're not going to give you the same treatment plan that this guy got. Like, we're going to build it around you, your goals, and your needs. And it's like, it makes sense when you say it like that, but it's like wholesale, that's not what happens, right? It's like the treatment industry at large, like, it overpromises and underdelivers in every aspect, like every individual case. And like the way you can look at, like, I have like other people's like information booklets around here somewhere, and it's like when you compare them, it's like exactly the same thing in a different order, right? And it's like, we know what the outcomes are. We've seen the statistics. The statistic that's craziest to me is like the people that relapse the day they get out. It's like, if you relapse the day that you get out, you're relapsing within an hour of getting out of treatment. It's like huge percentages of people that are relapsing. They're going straight to the dope, man.
Isn't it, that addict compulsion is such a crazy thing?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It is. I mean, and it's like, and then there's like the opposite side of that, where it's like the people who don't want to leave treatment, right? They've found like this safe place where they're not doing that anymore. But then it's like, you've reactivated their trauma, right? They're going to go out there, if they're not committing to like a step down program or like some kind of lower level of care, you've reactivated their trauma. They're going to go out there and just spiral.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, so what we're promising these people versus what we're delivering, totally different. And then the disconnection and outcomes like really comes down to like, so I ask everybody this question that's like involved in the treatment community. It's like, you've got a 19-year-old kid. He's being forced to go to treatment by his parents. He doesn't want to be sober. He is literally doing, and he's telling everybody like, I'm only doing this because my parents sent me here. We all know he's going to relapse. Like, what are the things that we can do to try to mitigate those chances?
I mean, I think the best route would be to just try to show them the other side. Like, if you could find a way to show them like the fun and fulfillment like that you can have, you know, being a sober person. Because especially, you know, it's like we talked about in the beginning of this conversation of, you know, me getting sober so young.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely didn't think I was going to stay sober.
For sure.
You know, I like kind of maybe wanted to, but I didn't really I actually didn't even have that much of an intention of
staying sober
the first time when I was like 16.
Yeah.
But then once I had experienced that, like, you know, really like fuller life, I was drawn back to it
for sure
quickly.
Yeah.
I was just like, that was so much, but you know, like that life that I had with Michael and our other friends and that community, you know, and like the fun we were having compared to fucking the floor of this fucking sketchy house around these people that none of us give a fuck about each other. And like, I don't fucking trust anybody like that, you know, like just the feeling of that, just like realness of a fuller life and the fun to be had.
Yeah.
You know, that like life can be really fun.
Yeah. No. So if they were in treatment for a year, that would be possible. Right. But they typically are in treatment for 28 days. And there's 3 billable hours in a day at a residential. Like, you've got to do relapse prevention, education, and something else. And those are like the only billable hours. Right. Yeah. And so the rest of the time, like, this was from my experience, if they can't bill for it, they're not doing it. Right. So the big answer that I look for in this typically is like doing the family work. Right. Like, but you can't bill for family therapy. You can't bill for like having the parents come out and like sit down with the therapist and like work through shit with their kid. You can't bill for any of that. So the treatment center ultimately has to pay for that. So a lot of them aren't. And then like what you're saying, that would be an amazing thing to be able to do.
Yeah. Well, obviously you can't do it in that way, you know? And I mean, I would say that like, I guess I don't know what approach people are taking. I know when I was a kid in treatment, a lot of their approaches were like, even though they were true, sitting there and like trying to tell some young kid that like your friends are dirtbags and don't give a fuck about you and fucking that doesn't matter, whatever. Like, you're not gonna like they're gonna put up walls like
For sure.
all over that, right?
For
Like
sure.
you can't like come at them about like whatever like stupid kid ideals they have,
Yeah.
even someone who's an adult, someone who's 30 is gonna probably understand that, even if you're talking to them about like, look, like the decisions you're making, who you're surrounding yourself with, like, they're gonna understand that that's wrong,
Probably, yeah, that they're
right?
making bad decisions.
Yeah, whereas this kid, like, you can't really do much other than like you can't really challenge what they are doing. I feel like you can just show you can just show them
Yeah.
something else, or offer, maybe your own experience or someone else's experience or whatever, without being like what you're doing is fucking stupid.
Yeah. And it's like, the book says it when it talks about like frothy emotional appeal. It's like for this kid especially, it's like you're only here because your parents are forcing you. And it's like you're fully vocal about this. I had an experience in treatment one time where I was like, that's what was going on. This is pre-fentanyl. So it wasn't like he was gonna go out there and just die immediately, but like he fully was talking about like, I don't want to be sober. The only reason why I'm here is because I made a deal with my parents that like they would continue to support me as long as I tried to get sober. And I was like, okay, like he's gonna check off all the boxes. He's gonna do exactly what he said he would do, so that his parents would still like pay for his apartment and his car.
Yeah. At the same time, I wasn't being offered anything by my parents. My mom didn't have any money, but and you said something very similar earlier that I thought was funny because I say the same exact thing all the time about like, oh, I just want to get everybody off my back.
Yeah.
Right. Like when I went into Phoenix House, that was my sole intention.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I'm just going to fucking get everybody off my back. I'm fucking, getting arrested a bunch, whatever. Mm-hmm. And like, I just want everybody off my back. And then I'm going to go back to doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That was my entire intention going in there.
I think that's a lot of people's intention, like going in where they like taste what it's like to be sober. Another part of like a lot of people's journey in sobriety is like meeting the right people. Like you meet the right person and it completely changes your point of view around like what sobriety is.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if you meet someone that you can actually connect with or whatever. Because I remember when I was like a year sober, I lived in Hemet for a little bit.
Jeez.
I was living, that was like, and like I tried to go
Why?
It's a super long story, but it was like I was supposed to like go work this job at this for like my friend's company, and like I don't know, it was this whole thing, and
That's I ended up.
Yeah, and I happened to like have a cousin that lived there, so like I went and I moved in with her in Hemet, and like it was like it was a shit show. But I was like trying to go to meetings out there, and it was like I was like I never would have gotten sober out here.
Never.
Yeah.
Like
I was like an 18 or 19-year-old kid, young face, like healthy looking me,
Southern California,
and it was like compared to just like some like shot out,
Not
like
you.
older, like I was just like I could have like never connected with these people, even like we're struggling with it. We'd have a similar thing, but like I know I would have never connected with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that connection is like pivotal in a lot of people's story. Pivotal. And it's like you got to stay around long enough to make that connection. A lot of people nowadays, like at least from like what I've seen and like what I've like kind of like gotten out of other people is like, so we live in 2025. Like 2025, like people are rejecting like religious structures more and more. And it's like, if you are not sold on the program, most people are rejecting it nowadays. Like you rarely find people who are getting into sobriety and then like will willingly choose to go to AA. Like that is like the last thing that they want to do. They want to find something else to do. And then it's like around the program in and of itself, like I'm not a 12-step person, but I think everybody, whether you're in recovery or not, would benefit from a 12-step program. Like everybody should go through that work. And it's like the rest of the world doesn't have to. The level of like accountability and honesty that like a recovering person has to live in is totally different than like the rest of the world.
Yeah.
The rest of the world could like lie and cheat and steal and like not fuck their life up drinking.
Yeah. I mean, 12-step definitely works, it worked for me, but there's You know, I've seen people get sober all different kinds of ways.
Yeah.
And definitely like earlier on, I was fucking sold into like, this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
You know, you have to do this. Like, but I mean, I was a kid and that's all I had ever seen and whatever, you know. But, you know, I've seen people get sober and live fulfilling lives like all different kinds of ways.
Yeah. I love looking at like the history of the program because it's like the first couple of years of Bill and Bob being around, it was like 100% of everybody that interacted with eventually got sober and stayed sober.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like 100%.
I do think that a lot of people kind of like in that community, like individuals kind of like misinterpret and misrepresent like what's actually said in the book.
Yeah.
Because I definitely know it's like 100% of the time, anybody that I've ever seen actually do it, it works.
For sure.
It will, like, it's not like, oh, it will probably work. It has a good chance of working. Like, if
it could work.
It's like, it does work.
Yes.
Like, if you read the book and you do everything that it says in that order, it will work.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not the only way to do it.
Yeah. So like my executive director, he got sober and then didn't go to a single meeting for 9 years. And eventually like his recovery like stopped evolving and it got him to go to meetings. And now he like like he does the deal. Right. And it's like his sobriety led him straight into the rooms. Right. And it's like, so the idea and like the hope isn't that like you don't need it. The hope is that you end up in there. Right. It isn't that like we hope you get sober and then just like flounder out there and just live a life. Like we want you to evolve in your recovery. And if that means like ending up in those rooms, fucking go. Right. And it's like for the people who like get sober in the rooms and stay sober in those rooms, fucking keep doing it. Like there's no like, and you let like what I've experienced is that you let your like successes and your relationships like kind of guide the direction of your life, right? Where it's like, I know of a group of people who, dude, they were like hardcore 12-step kids, right? And it was like, and then eventually like they all kind of looked around and like they stopped engaging at the same level that they once were, right? And it was like now they're all just like living their lives and like being productive, successful members of society like in a real way. And it's like, yeah, they needed that though in order to like get there, right? And it's like, yeah, the monopoly on God and like the monopoly on recovery isn't like locked into any single place. Like, and I've seen people get sober, like California sober, and I've seen people like get sober, and I'm talking about like hardcore. So I knew this dude that like, I met him in prison and, like was, I mean, convinced he would just never use again. And then like got out, got like California sober and then just like stayed that way like forever. And now he owns like a weed shop and like just lives his life and like does his thing. Right. And it was like compared to where he was at and what he was doing. And it was like an El Cajon white boy.
Yeah.
Right.
That's one of those things where I'm talking about. It's like, what do you consider a success?
Right.
You know, and that's coming from someone who is 100% abstinent.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, I would say that guy's a success.
Me too.
Right.
Me
like
too.
On the surface level, obviously, I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know if he's whatever.
I mean, he
but in general, yeah, it's like if someone can, you know, it's like that's the success is to each individual.
Yeah. Yeah. So like when you're talking about like how do they measure success, they have to give metrics that are measurable, right? So it's like, what is the easiest way to measure success in sobriety? It's like your first year. Can you get clean past your first year?
Yeah.
And so it's like they have to have it be able to like mathematically like fit into equations.
Yeah.
And so that was just like what they go through. But the crazy part is that it's like this is a failing business in any other 5% success rate, 13% success rate. It's like you're any other business that's trying to sell with like a 5% success rate is like just shut it down and call it quits.
I mean, maybe not, you know, it's like, it's probably like going to the gym is probably the same thing, you know, it's like how many people that walk through the doors of a gym and go work out, like keep going.
So of the ones that keep going, 100% of them have success. Right. And it's like, I don't know anybody that like continuously goes to the gym and makes no progress.
Yeah, but what percentage of people do you think
Stay.
walk through the doors of a gym and become someone who works out consistently? Probably less than 5%.
Probably less, yeah.
So
But
there's other businesses you could relate it to.
yeah, but gyms are like their success rate is like how many memberships you can get. And it's like as long as you sign up for the year membership, like at Lifetime, it's like you're locked into
That's
that.
their financial success rate.
Yeah.
Which you could say the same thing about a treatment center, right? Like even if they're maybe not getting the funding success rate, but if you're just turning beds nonstop, you know, like yeah, you're financially successful as the gym. But an actual success of, you know, someone who is using the gym to, you know, improve their life.
Yeah.
Is probably a super low percentage.
So some of the most successful rehabs pay their bills with relapses.
Yeah.
Like they are, I know of one place that I know of for sure that like they have a policy that says like if our census reaches 65%, we're calling all of our alumni and seeing who relapsed and bringing them back. So it's like the monetary success of these places is like if they tied it to that, every treatment center is successful. Right? Like this isn't like every other business where it's like the more your outcomes suck, the better you could do financially. It's like, so there's like incentivization around like, so this is a thing that I talk about constantly around like what is overpromised and underdelivered is like, there are treatment centers out there that are gearing people for their relapse to come back. Right. And I think that's fucked up. Like that the fact of the matter is that you are paying your bills today because of how many people are just constantly coming back through. I don't think that should be a thing. Like, and there's no way to like stop that.
Yeah, it's a pretty hard thing to combat because it's just kind of what it is.
Well, I mean, if you shift the focus on like the revolving door and onto like the outcomes, then you can create situations that like have greater outcomes. I thoroughly believe this. And that's what we're doing. Like, everything that we are doing should point to greater outcomes for clients. And it's like with Dr. Shaw and like everything that we've got like developing, we are saying that if in 5 years we don't have a 30% success rate, like we did something wrong. You know, so it's like
30% would be pretty impressive.
Yeah, but we think it's very doable because of the patients that he's seen over the last 5 years, like 33% are manifesting in the specific way that we are looking out for.
Wow.
So if we can prevent their relapses, if we can predict their relapses based on this escalation scale and like a bunch of other stuff, then there is no reason why we can't. And the reality is 33% is like the low end of what we think we can do. Like we really think we can get up to like way better than that. We really do. Especially like for the clients that do the full continuum of care, like that they come in from detox all the way to aftercare. Those people, we should have at least a 50% success rate with them, at least, because we're not treating relapse prevention. So relapse prevention is one of the boxes that you have to check off, right? Like you have to teach relapse prevention. Our relapse prevention model is way different than anything you'll ever see anywhere else. Because we're not just teaching you like, so coping skills is like a big part of relapse prevention. But when you're in full flight from reality and you're getting ready, if using becomes a viable option, you don't care about anything that you learned in treatment.
Yeah, everything goes out the window.
So what we're teaching you is watch out for the signs that, so everybody always says like you've relapsed way before you relapse, right? But what does that actually mean? Like, what is the process that you go through? Is that arrestable? Like, are we able to catch it in the very first stages of your relapse? And then we're calling it, instead of intervention, we're calling it something totally different, right? And so like, we're not trying to mix people's like definitions up. Like we're calling it interrupting. Like we're going to interrupt your process. And so the way that we're doing that and the way that like we're catching, so one of the things we're developing a patent around a wearable that shows us like one of the things that happens when you get in this escalated state. It's all subconscious, right? But like one of the things that happens is like you end up driving faster, you end up walking faster, you end up like doing things that you'll never realize that you do unless you're like tracking like, On the daily average, I walk 2.4 miles an hour, right? But like when you're in this escalation, you're actually walking like 2.6. And so if we can see that it's gone up from like 3 days ago and now it's 3 days later and you've been consistently like walking faster, we'll pull you in and we'll give you like a bunch of scales to do. And typically like there will be a baseline number that you get all the time. But like our theory and model says that if you can catch any of these triggers and then you do these scales around it, like we can probably see that you're in an escalation. And then we interrupt it with medication and this stuff. And it's like now there's a different situation that you're in. Right. And so 33% of his clientele has presented this way where it's like we can interrupt it because you're presenting this way. Really. And really what it is like a lot of addicts and alcoholics they go into treatment or they go through like therapy or they do all this stuff and they get these depression and anxiety diagnoses so that they can get these medications. And the assumption is that there's been a misdiagnosis and that you really have a cycling mood disorder called cyclothymia. Cyclothymia, historically, it takes 14 years for you to get diagnosed with it, is the average, because you'll present in clinic, you'll be diagnosed with depression or anxiety, and then you'll go through like this long process of like trying to figure out what's actually wrong. And the theory is you actually have this cycling mood disorder that you've been trying to treat that has a biological component that answers to why you're chronically relapsing. So if you're chronically relapsing and you come in and we can catch this escalation, we can interrupt it, and now we change your diagnosis. Now you have cyclothymia and we put you on a mood stabilizer. Versus you go to treatment for the first time, like most people leave with like 6 medications is the average. They'll go home with like an antidepressant, an anti-anxiety. They'll get like a sleep aid. They'll get like all this stuff.
It's fucked.
Yeah. And so what we're doing is completely different than any other thing that anybody's ever done. And what we're really trying to base this on is like, we live in a dangerous time for drug addicts, especially where it's like, if you relapse, there's a high likelihood you're going to die. And if we can prevent that, like the downstream effect of this, it will, like, let's say 5 years from now, we've gotten up to 33%. Like this translates into thousands of people that are no longer like in the threat of dying.
Yeah. It's fucking crazy nowadays. Cause even like, not that long ago, it's like, yeah, fucking addicts die more than other people. But like now with the fentanyl shit, cause it's not even just, it's not just ending up in,
no.
Like, dude, I've heard so many stories of fucking it ending up in someone's coke.
Yeah.
Or it fucking ending up, because it's like when someone's shooting heroin, like
pretty good
you
chance.
kind of know you're already playing that game a bit,
Mm-hmm.
But like there was a festival I was working some years back that 5 kids died from fentanyl laced Molly.
Yeah.
Just some kids going to a rave. Like, those kids like weren't even playing that game, like they weren't even in that. Like,
yeah. So if you like, I kind of stay up on it because of what I'm doing, but like monthly, there are stories about people smoking weed and overdosing on fentanyl, like having no clue in weed, like weed that they got off the street, or maybe it's even, so
it's insane.
Yeah. And so fentanyl is the leading cause of death for people under 40 now. Like that many people are dying from fentanyl poisoning.
Believe it. I've definitely known a lot of people in the last few years.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them were already pretty mixed up in some shit, but some of them weren't.
Yeah. I mean, dude, the accidental deaths around, have you seen that video of the San Diego sheriff that like opened a bag in a car that he was searching and like overdosed on fentanyl?
No.
Dude, it's one of the scariest videos I've ever seen, because it's a cop. Like it was in Vista. It was a Vista sheriff, and he like is searching this car. He like opens a bag, and then like his partner shows up, and the guy is just like frozen, and he's like, "Dude, are you okay?" And he like falls back, and like has a full blown overdose. Like, and all he did was like it opened up into the air, and he inhaled some of it, and he fucking almost died. Right, and it's like the dangers that people are exposed to, like that are out there recreationally using drugs. We're living in a time where it's like more dangerous than ever to do drugs, right? And addiction is exploding the addiction rates are exploding. The overdose rates are exploding. When you look at like the ages of people who are getting a substance abuse diagnosis, it's getting younger, and people are staying addicted for longer, right? It's like we live in this time where we addiction has a greater grip on us than ever. And what it's really pointing to is like my talking point that I always tell people is like, if we're in the business of saving lives and we are having this failure rate for outcomes, and like the relapse rate is crazier than ever, and like if this is all what we're supposed to be doing and we're failing worse than ever, why aren't we changing the system? Like, why are we just doing the same thing that we were doing 20 years ago?
Yeah. I mean, I think it really probably comes from a lot deeper than just the treatment programs, though, you know? It's just,
No, it does.
It's the fucking world, you know? It's like we're living in such an unnatural way, you know?
True.
And it's like, I really think that the biggest thing comes from that people are lonely and they don't know their place, you know?
Yeah.
It's like at one time, like we were a people that lived in community.
Yeah.
You know, and now
tribal. We're tribal.
Yeah, we're tribal
animals.
We're community, you know? It's like people are meant to be social communal beings,
Yeah.
you know? It's like the natural way, you know. The way that your family lives, is crazy as it is probably one of the most natural, you know, ways that like that's how people should be living. And a lot of people find their communities in other ways and they find that fulfillment, you know. But it's so easy to be disassociated from that in today's society.
Yeah.
You know, and to just be alone and fucking be at your desk on your computer and fucking live in virtual world and be away from people.
Dude. And like then, order your groceries.
Yeah. And even in the relationships that people have with people, like just aren't to that depth of like actual support to each other, you know? So they just don't know, you know, like people are, I think that's personally, I think that's probably one of the biggest causes of addiction and just most people's issues in their lives. Like most people's personal issues in their lives is that they're lonely.
Yeah, you're totally right. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that the guilt of this falls on the treatment industry. What I'm saying is that we are not delivering on our obligations. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And then, but when you look at like the communication factor in who we are as humans, has completely gone out the window. The dating scene, the way that people date, like, how old are you? 32?
Yeah.
So we're like some of the last generations of people, for sure I was like, I had to like call the girl's house and just pray to God her dad didn't answer. And then it would be like this game of like trying to figure out when her dad wasn't going to be home so that she could answer the phone. And it was like, I had to get through gates in order to talk to this girl on the phone. Whereas like now it's like, there is no courtship. There is no dating. There is no communication around like, who am I? Who are you? Like, I'm into you. You're into me. It's like, you're swiping left or right or whatever it is. And it's like, do you want to fuck? And that's it.
It's crazy.
And then you meet, you do the deal, and that's it. Right? It's like, but there is no actual bond. There is no actual like.
Well, not to mention you didn't meet that girl over the phone.
Yeah.
You met her in person.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Yeah. I remember like back in the day being like 16 and we would go to like the mall and the goal was like whoever got the most numbers wins. Right. It's like kids don't do that anymore.
Well, even like when I was a kid, or, you know, like social media like was like kind of just starting to be a thing. I don't know. You might have like been already getting out of high school, but like MySpace and AIM and whatever.
Oh yeah.
But it was like, so like that stuff was starting to exist, but we didn't have it
connected to our body.
We didn't have it on our phone. You know, it was like I think Instagram came out when I was 18. You know, so I was like already out of high school. But it was like that was something we went and did at the end of the day. It's not like we were like entangled in that all day. It was like, you know, it's like we had it, but it was like the end of the day, and then you go like talk to your friends online.
Yeah.
You know?
And then like go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then like the last part of it would be like, see you in the morning. And then it'd be like you guys see each other and like, dude, I remember like summer of 07 was like the longest summer of my life. And it was like so much fun, and there was no like there was no social media. Like there was MySpace, but you're right, it was like not on our phones. And we would like take pictures of each other, not for like to post it. It was like we would take pictures of each other, like go get them developed and like print them out and keep them.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't like for a public facing
No,
thing.
not at all. Dude, I remember when I was a kid, I like saved up all my money at one point and bought this like one of the VHS camera,
Yeah.
right? And just like filmed all the stupid crap me and my friends would do,
Yeah.
and whatever. But it was like, yeah, it was like just to have it,
Yeah.
not like this is gonna get so many likes,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It was just like,
Yeah. The motivation around socialization today is so different. A lot of people are like, oh, I want to like take a picture with that guy and like post it. And it's like,
yeah, it's like this is gonna give me social credit.
yeah. 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 That's the thing is like the currency today has changed like so drastically. Whereas like when I was a kid, it was like the currency was like how many like real friends you had. Like, what were you gonna go do this weekend? Like, what are you guys like talking about? Like the shows or like all that stuff. But none of it was for clicks. Like none of it was for likes. It was literally for like, I'm gonna go actually spend time with these people that I love. That like we've got this bond and it's like we're real friends. I don't know, like I see this meme I've seen this meme where it's like kids in 1995, like it's like a picture and a picture, and it's like kids on the playground in 1995, and they're like on the swings and like playing, and like going down the slide, and it's like kids in 2025, and it's like everybody's just on their phone, like nobody's talking. It's like that is the reality of what's going on today. The communication has just broken down, and you can see it like on every level. Like when you turn on the TV, you can see like the breakdown of communication, like scrolling, like it's like people arguing and debating, and it's like there is no like cohesive human interaction anymore. And when you find like those pockets of like friendship or like meaningful relationships, it's like very fragile because it's like, oh, I can't like talk about politics with this guy because like we don't agree on it and that can like fuck up our friendship. Whereas like back in the day, it'd be like, fuck it. Like you're gonna vote for this guy, I'm gonna vote for that guy, and we're still gonna fucking be friends. Now it's like, nope. Like we've divided ourselves so many times. It's crazy.
Yeah. Crazy times.
It is. It's crazy times. We live in like a very chaotic time. And it
Yeah.
manifests in many ways. And addiction is one of the like easy symptoms that you can point to. Like, yeah, there's something wrong. Definitely. And it's been around. It'll be here forever. Like addiction is a part of who we are. And it doesn't even have to be substances. Like there was a time where there was no alcohol, there was no drugs, there was nothing, and people were still having destructive behavior around something. Believe that, it's like, and so the destructive behavior part around addiction is like what we're actually looking at. Like you put that under the microscope, and it's like you've already talked about it, where it's like destructive behavior exists in recovery.
Dude, I'm still far too capable of destructive behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like that awareness around it, the education around it. And then we live in a time. Have you heard of like the epidemic of silent suffering?
No.
So there's like this term that's been developed around like the way that men are treated and like the expectations around like masculinity and stuff. And they call it the epidemic of silent suffering, where like men are just expected to do what they are told and suffer in silence. And it's like, yeah, we are seeing the downstream effect of like the way that men are completely neglected, but then still like everything is on our backs. Like all of the bad shit that happens, everybody points at men. All the good stuff that happens, people point at men. And it's like we have this situation where it's like if you admit that you are in need of help or like depressed or like anything, then you are less than. And it's like that is not the real truth of what actually manhood is. It's like we're just engineered and like geared and educated in this way. And it's like there's nothing more dangerous than an emotionally unstable or untrained man. Like those are the kinds of people that like hurt people like many different ways, physically, emotionally, sexually, like, and we're raising generations of men that way. It's like super crazy to think like our generation is about to be running the country. like really soon. And it's like, dude, we are fucked up. Like our generation is so fucked. Like really think about it.
I mean, what generation isn't?
Yeah, but I mean historically, like when you look at like the boomers, it's like, yeah, they were fucked up, but like they were still like had family morals and like had like decent morals systemically. And like now it's like when I look at like what's going on, it's like there's a real possibility that in 20 years, the America of today is totally gone. Like things look that different where it's just unrecognizable. It's already unrecognizable from like 200 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's borderline unrecognizable from when we were kids.
No, for sure.
I mean, if you walked around in the world, it's going to look similar, but it functions entirely different.
Totally. What I'm scared of is that we continue down the path that we're on and it pushes us into a situation where like we've given up so much of our freedoms that we are now like bordering on like, for lack of a better term, like some kind of like communist dictatorship. But it's like we've given up so much of our individual liberty and freedom for like the safety that it affords us that like we are now like in a situation where we're getting taxed like 90% and we're like just crazy shit. And we're heading towards that direction. Like people don't really like, I'm a conspiracy enthusiast. I've graduated. Yeah, I was a conspiracy theorist, and
Enthusiast.
now I'm just an
That's a
enthusiast.
good way to put it. Yeah.
But like I really see it. Like if things don't change, and all this really comes back to like my point of view of addiction, right? It's like if things don't change, shit's just gonna get worse. Like, and that's just the bottom line of it. If things don't radically change, and I don't know how that happens, I don't know what the solution is. Nobody knows what the solution is.
I'll be chilling, catching fish.
Yeah.
Worrying about myself.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not. Like, who knows? Who knows? That's the thing is like things change. So we weren't created to change this fast. Like we weren't created to like have every ounce of knowledge that has ever been like thought of or created at the tips of our fingertips.
Fucking wild.
Yeah. And now with AI, like people are losing their job. Like they're going to lose it. We'll live in a situation where people don't have to work. Like, and now what are we doing?
Yeah, society's going to end up in a weird place.
Very weird place.
20 years from now, who knows?
Yeah. Like the world, it might end up in a really weird place where it's like it's almost like a utopia where like everybody has everything paid for. But like at the same time, like just a fucking hellscape where like nobody cares about anybody.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully it just ends up in a place of where people are actually, it motivates people to do what they want instead of what they feel like they have to do.
You know, that is a big problem right now anyway. Is like
I've always been wired in a way of like it's like I can't make myself do something I don't want to do.
Yeah.
I can't fucking do it. You know, which is, it's like a blessing and a curse.
For sure.
You know, but it's a blessing in that like I go after what I want.
Yeah.
But I'm only capable of that. Like I can't go do a job that I don't like.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I'll be fucking broke.
Dude, how many men though, or how many people in general, like are just suffering through their job to pay their bills, right? And it's like, yeah, you're like a unique person. Like everybody's unique, but like I remember like conversations with you in that truck where it was like, dude, like around sobriety and like we were doing just crazy shit. And it was like, yeah, man, like this is the life. Like this is it. And it was like, since then, I've thought about a lot of those conversations and it was like, a lot of it was like purpose driven, but at the same time, like very fun, but didn't really get us anywhere. Right. And it was like, for me, at least, it didn't get me anywhere. I'm sure those are like building blocks and like experiences that like contributed to like you. But like for me, it was like, when I think about like all of the good experiences that I've had, they meant way less than like the negative experiences. Cause the negative like traumatic experiences like pointed me in directions. Whereas like I never benefited from like, for multiple reasons, right? Like it wasn't the right time for me to be having these experiences that like I could benefit from them. I wasn't benefiting from any good decision that I was making because most of the time it was a good decision for the sake of getting somebody off my back. And like that was a lot of like our interactions was like me just not trying to hear my fucking parents talk about like the shit that I was in.
But on another hand, it's like you had to have those good experiences or else like you have to have both.
Yeah.
Right? You have to have the good
comparison and
it's
contraction.
like you have to have the bad to motivate you.
Yeah.
And you have to have the good to know which direction to go.
Yeah. Yeah. The good. So
otherwise you would have just been like,
what's the purpose?
Yeah. If you don't have the good, then what's the point?
Yeah.
You know? But at the same time, you don't have the bad, especially with addicts. Like we need the extreme bad. Unfortunately, we have to fucking make everything harder than other, than other people. But that's what we do.
Yeah. Making mountains out of anthills and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of things that are happening like today, right? Like when you like really think about like where I'm at today in the world, like all of us are in the same position where it's like, we've got to make these decisions that'll like the ripple effect of the decisions that we're making today can like mean something 5 years from now. Or it just like, if it doesn't mean anything, then it's like, what is the purpose or what is the point? And like with like being so early in recovery and like not really understanding where this whole thing is going. Because I'll tell you this, like when this idea started, I didn't realize what it could turn into. Because originally it was just going to be a sober living. Like I just wanted to like run a sober living. And then it like turned into this, and then it's turning into like some other shit. And it's like the ripple effect of one person getting sober will forever blow my mind. Like the amount of things that can happen around just one person getting sober. But then also it's like the outcomes for families and like clients and like additionally like the people around me. Like this isn't like a thing where it's like consequence free, like good or bad. Like all the good consequences that come from it is like my executive director told me, he was like, there will come a time like in the very near future where we're deciding like if we can help somebody or not. And it's going to have like negative effects on this person. You're going to have to be okay with like them continuing to make their decisions and like possibly dying around us, not being able to help them. Right. And it's like, that isn't on us. That's like circumstantially. And it's like, we just can't help everybody. Right. And it's like, that is a hard pill to swallow around like when you're client-centered care and like when you're really looking at like the individual. It's like, he was like, yeah, there'll be he told me he had this weekend where it was like, he had 3 mothers crying to him on the phone all weekend, desperately trying to get their sons or kids into treatment. And it was like, there was no way for them to receive help. They didn't have insurance. They couldn't pay for it. They couldn't do this. Like their access to care made it so that it was like, there's nothing you can do for this person. It's like, that is a shitty position to be in. It's like, especially when you claim to be in like the business of saving lives, right? It's like, that doesn't sound fair. It doesn't sound fair to them, but it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know what to do. So it's crazy. Well, anyway, is there anything else that you want to talk about?
No,
you broke the record by 4 minutes so far.
What, the longest one?
Yeah.
How long was that?
3 hours and 23 minutes.
Wow, that flew by.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, thank you for coming. I appreciate you coming. For sure.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
It's good to catch up.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for listening to My Last Relapse. I'm Matt Handy, the founder of Harmony Grove Behavioral Health, Houston, Texas, where our mission is to provide compassionate, evidence-based care for anyone facing addiction, mental health challenges, and co-occurring disorders. Find out more at harmonygrovebh.com. Follow and subscribe to My Last Relapse on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you like to stream podcasts. Got a question for us? Leave a message or voicemail at mylastrelapse.com. If you're feeling overwhelmed or struggling, you don't have to face it alone. Reaching out for support is a sign of strength, and help is always available. If you or anyone you know needs help, give us a call 24 hours a day at 888-691-8295.